Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. And now, it's time!
Hello everyone, welcome to the 2024 Telstra AFL Draft. We are multi-streaming on the Blue Abroad YouTube channel and the Pommy in Oz YouTube channel. I'm Terry, this is Pommy. Mate, this is us. This is peak right now.
Tell you what an intro. Thank you very much, Mrs. Pom. I've always wanted Bruce Buffer to introduce me, and I got me wish. There it is. I mean, made up now.
It has been one of the most covered drafts that I can remember. I mean, obviously tonight we're all watching this. I mean, a lot of you who are watching will probably be Carlton supporters, but there will be a good chunk of you that are just general AFL supporters of other clubs. Like tonight isn't necessarily just about Carlton. Pommy, what have you made of the entire draft conversation for everyone?
Firstly, I've got to give a huge shout out to all the wonderful content creators we've got. We've got Dylan Alexander, Daz Does Footy, Centre Half Bounce, all great guys who have really put some fantastic attention in the draft. And these kids now are getting round the clock coverage now from all angles, which I think the AFL media lets them down until now. So for me, that's fantastic. The craft of the draft, them boys do some wonderful work as well throughout the year. So it's great to showcase this and give a bit of excitement. This draft class in particular, probably the best draft class for anyone to really take note of, because it is tighter than a frog's bottom at the minute. It's so hard. You could make an argument for about 6 guys pick 1. You could make an argument for about 10 guys pick 15. You could make an argument for about 30 guys, 28. It's fantastic because the gap has got smaller and it's a real exciting draft to cover. So we're going to be in for some frills and spills. Everyone's going to want to come in and then everyone's going to want to trade into the top 20. So we could see some trades. Mr. Kaltoumi has already said 3 have been done. Some more could be coming. So this is really exciting. Going to be in for a wild ride.
We are indeed. Now, I saw some comments. Some of you are mentioning my sound. We have had a bit of an issue with it. So if it does play up throughout the stream, please let me know and let us know. There's a lot of screens up and there's a lot going on right now. So thanks for letting us know. Pommy, pick 1 seems to be Sam Lawler. And it just seems to be a consensus now. I reckon 2-3 weeks ago it was Jagger Smith. And now it seems to be a Sam Lawler. Like, what happened and why?
It's an interesting question because you'll see, we've got loads of screens for you to see, but you'll see I was quite consistent in my rankings that I do throughout the year. And I had number 1 Levi Ashcroft, who I think should be number 1. The most well-rounded player. Jagger was number 2. And then Sam Layla has come quite late. A phenomenal back end of the year. And I think this is a real case of where I always say, never get draft rankings and the draft confused. They're 2 different things. So Sam Layla is what Richmond are probably looking for right now. You're looking at a guy that is hungry, he's powerful, he's a bums-on-seat footballer. You pay money to see this guy. He kicks goals. He's got that added appeal as well that he's Dustin Martin's his idol. Dustin Martin's giving the shirt. Superb year this year as well in the national champs. And that's probably where he's come from, about 8 and 9 mid-year to number 1 now. His national champs was phenomenal, nearly just under 2 goals a game. He was phenomenal with his 3 games that he played in the biggest and hardest competition you can. And a real workhorse, and late bloomers, they're always entertaining. Got to say, late bloomers, always entertaining for the draft.
Okay. And then there's the conversation around North Melbourne. So pick 2. Where's that at?
It's an interesting one because sometimes you pick hills, and 2 and 3, Pom's picked a big hill to die on. So sometimes you've got to do it. And my pick two hill to die on, which the media have started to come back to my train of thinking is, you can't pick Alex Tyree here, like, in my opinion. Now, Alex Tyree, good player. 193, though, not really a key position player if you watch him play. I think it's a huge risk, and I think North have got to value the pick with the best player you can take. So here, this is a great conversation for North, because North kind of got the cake, and they've kind of got the icing. So I think there's a great argument for Jagger Smith from 1 to 5 here, because, again, he's the best available player, in my opinion, in the draft. Is he the kind of guy that they go for? Finn O'Sullivan's the coup de grace type, the excitement, which is who I think they'll select, which is a great compliment. Suddenly they'd have a really exciting midfield. And it's funny because there was a thing that I saw when Alex Tyree was linked to them, was you can have too much midfielders. We seem to always pick midfielders up, and we always want more. I don't think you can have too many midfielders, in my opinion. I think all of the top 5 players, points of difference for North, Richmond, and Carlton, more importantly. So I think Finn is the name we'll see here.
Okay. Hey, I'm going to share this, and I'm going to bring it up. So what have we got here? What can the viewers expect to see here? This is like a live power rankings of every remaining draftee.
Yeah, so I'll try and help you guys and girls out as best I can, so you can watch us and you don't have to listen to Cal Toomey and co do about 2 hours of filler. You've got your power rankings, so that's just my personal rankings that I've done throughout the year. You're sure most people on my channel will watch the video. It was the November rankings. So we'll see 1 to 10, and that'll update as the players go. Then you have the next 5 who are on the clock, and as we take picks, obviously some of them will start going to the bottom. So we'll have a real good consensus so you can see it, and we'll try, particularly tomorrow, it'll be a little bit more confusing for you guys and girls because picks come a bit quicker. We'll try and give you some updates of what every side has picked as they're on the clock as well. So that's your one-stop shop, basically.
Okay. So let's get into it about Carlton while we're here. So, mate, it's been Jagger Smith, Sid Draper, Finn O'Sullivan, Harvey Langford as a bit of a smoky has come up late. I think right now the favourite seems to be a Jagger Smith. What's the conversation around Carlton like in your view?
I think it's the most fascinating pick I've ever heard, because this week in particular, Monday morning, the Herald Sun released an article saying Carlton were guaranteed to get Mr. Finn O'Sullivan. Tuesday, Carlton had flown Voss and an entourage to go and see Sid Draper. Sid Draper was it. Day 3, pick 2 was on the table still. Adelaide had made the offer future first. They wanted Draper. Pick 4, Adelaide were willing to stay at 4 because they believed Jagger Smith. Then the next day occurred. Bang, Carlton want Jagger Smith. And there it has moved on. Where I stand there now, this is the second hill I died on. I ruled Jagger Smith out. Now, you might ask a question, Pom, you've got him second in your power rankings. Technically number 1 because Levi Ashcroft's not real. It's a good question to ask. I think it's harder for Carlton to replicate someone that breaks the line, is a point of difference in the midfield than Jagger. Now, that's no disrespect to Jagger Smith, because Jagger Smith, for me, everything you want in a midfielder, 300 gamer, inbound. So it's interesting what Carlton want, because Agresta, Austin, they're not giving anything away. And we've showcased Harvey Langford, who everyone's coming late for. We showcased Finn O'Sullivan, and we showcased Sid Draper, who ironically has kind of had the Carlton pattern. He was probably 20th at the start of the year where we thought we'd get our pick. Then he's moved up, and he's moved up, and he's moved up to 3. So he's going to be really interesting. So funny. It's going to be an interesting one, this one.
Who's your pick for Carlton?
If it was me picking Sid Draper, who do I think we pick? I I think it's not Jagger Smith. That's what I'll say. I'm going to go bold. I think Carlton have blown some smoke. Is my gut feel.
Okay. What I found interesting about the conversation is that Carlton are sport for choice almost, and we're looking for what's wrong with every single one of the options. It's bizarre.
Well, I think Let Dog asked a great question just before I went on air, and he knows that I hate similarities to real players in the AFL. So he asked me if I had to give a player. Jagger Smith, his flaw, when I look at Jagger Smith, his flaw would be Jack McRae, right? His ceiling, in my opinion, would be prime Judd, is how I see Jagger. So, flaw Jack McRae, worst case scenario, you get Jack McRae 2.0. Best case scenario, you get someone like, he's going to be exceptional. Mr. Sid Draper, his flaw, Paddy Dow. He'll be a disappointment. He'll be the burst speed. He won't quite live up to it. His ceiling, though, he gives me MVP Mark Murphy vibes.
Oh, wow.
Like, that's what I see. And then Finn O'Sullivan, I think his flaw, again, could be Dow. It could be another disappointment. But I think his ceiling would be Ben Cousins. That type of player. He could be that good. Untapped talent, and this year out has really blown everyone away, and we've forgotten all about him. A bit like Brodie Kemp, players like that. So that's no disrespect to Dow as well. I'm just saying it could end up like that, that you've got a guy with all the skill sets. It's not quite though. It's not quite there. He's got all the ingredients. It's not quite there. So it's not a knock on Dow. It's just where he could be, that untapped talent.
I want to play some highlights of Harvey Langford, and I want you to tell us a little bit about Harvey Langford. I'm also trying to test out this screen sharing. What do we need to know about Harvey Langford?
Well, I had a great conversation with someone in the AFL list management world, and he described this guy to me, because I haven't really been a big lover of this guy, but he described me as a guy that is probably 2 years ahead of where Bontempelli was how he described him. And it was a good source because it was a guy that knew the Bont very well. But when you look at him, you are looking at a 191 man-sized child. Marking genius, a guy that can run just as well as Sam Walsh. Ball winner, scoreboard extraordinaire, a real goal kick. And it's got to be interesting because when people say he's slow, it's interesting that his running profile is very Marcus Bontempelli-esque. So Marcus Bontempelli might not be in the top 10 fastest players you've ever seen. However, you watch him over short, sharp bursts. Short, sharp bursts, and that's Harvey Langford. He's very quick in them opening exchanges. And definitely something Carlton don't have, because if you go back to that video we talked about Harry Mackay, and the value of Petrarca, goal kicking mids are as rare as rocking horse poo. They're as rare as rocking horse poo. So Harvey Langford is probably someone who would be in the conversation for pick one, in my opinion, as well, had it not been such a law secret, as it were.
Okay, interesting. And then you've got the Crows. A few rumours about what they could or couldn't do tonight. What's their priority?
Well, this is interesting because they've got a very similar predicament to Carlton. So let's just say if it was a choice between Jagger and Sid Draper, they have the same issue. Now, it's funny, when I've been doing my Adelaide previews, and Adelaide fans, good day, you're always good to me, so I'm a big fan of Adelaide. Sid Draper, I think, suits their profile a little bit less than Jagger Smith. Jagger Smith, hungry accumulator, a guy that gets the game going. And that's probably something I don't think Adelaide have got. I think Adelaide lack that. I think they've got dynamic mids. I think they're looking for that guy that really gets the chains moving, keeps getting the ball coming in and out of the back, and he's very smart at that. Sid is a very direct runner, very quick, very point of difference, very defensive as well, and attacking very clean. So I think they have less of a need for Sid Draper, and that's why I'm quite kind of quiet, humble brag. I was huge on Jagger to Adelaide, and the media suddenly have created this Jagger rumour. I find that fascinating because if I was an Adelaide Crows man, even though I love Draper, if I was doing it as an Adelaide fan, I would be Team Jagger because I think he's exactly what they need here and now.
I have got absolutely no issue playing some Sid Draper highlights. He's one of my favorites to watch, the way he goes about it.
Yeah, and it's funny because I always have this thing when people talk about like, oh, I watched a bit of highlights, he bombs it and stuff like that. It's also you've got to have an appreciation of the role. So it was fascinating. A couple of months ago, I was playing golf with one of the list management team from another club, and he was telling me about profiles. He was explaining to me something about stats and how people read kicking efficiency all wrong. And one of the things is you've got to look at how Draper exits the ball. And you look at when people talk about his kicking efficiency, go and watch him under 17s. Sid Draper, when he was kicking, it could go anywhere. Honestly, it was like watching your uncle play golf on Christmas Eve. It could go in the clubhouse, it could go down the middle. And his improvement has been tenfold. It's almost like a different type of player. Then when you watch Jagger play, the complaint that we have with Jagger is he doesn't get the ball going forward. And my counter to that argument is look at the role he's playing for his club. He's not expected to. He's not out in the open. He's literally feeding it to other players. So I think it's very harsh when we're doing these things because I remember people talking about Sam Walsh as a goal-kicking mid. And I remember doing the previews and saying he's not. What they do as juniors and what they do as seniors are two different things. So you are looking at very elite talents in the top five. Any pick here for Adelaide, they're looking at the best of the fallen here. And I wouldn't be surprised to see pick 4 be better than pick 1.
Okay.
My big call, that.
That's Sid Draper. How's my my audio? Can you hear me?
You're good now.
Good now?
Chat back me up.
It must be when I share my screen. It must do something to the mic. But it's too late to fix it. So we're going to have to deal with it, and I'll have a look at it and fix it tomorrow. What time is the first pick?
So the draft usually kicks off 7:30.
Okay.
So we'll have a pick anytime in the next 10 minutes. Based on last year, it was about 7:34.
Okay. Now, the Ds. What about the Ds? What are they going to do?
I think this is probably, out of all of them, the most interesting pick, in my opinion. And the reason I say that is I feel like Melbourne could spring a surprise. They could spring a surprise. You would say, if you were a betting man, Harvey Langford. If you were holding a gun to my head and saying it, you could also make an argument that they go Alex Tyru, which Mr. Kaltoumi did have an allude at. It's going to be really fascinating here because Harvey Langford would probably give them that freedom of maybe protecting Christian Petrarca, having a bit of an insurance policy there, and with having that insurance policy with Clayton Oliver. So it could be a really interesting one, what they do, because you could also, everyone could be totally wrong, and we could see a situation, pick 1, Sam Layla, pick 2, Alex Tyru, pick 3, Sid Draper, pick 4, Harvey Langford. There's been rumours late that Adelaide have looked at Harvey Langford. So you could actually see one of the guys we've talked about top 3 end up here. So Adelaide and Melbourne are in a real sweet spot here.
So a midfielder and a defender for the Ds.
Yeah, I mean, also, they've been open, they want a key forward, which most people think they'll take with their next pick. So it could be fascinating. Do they spring the surprise and go, let's get him out of the way now? Let's get Harry Armstrong in today.
Okay.
You never know.
then the Tigers come straight back into the conversation. So they're pick 6.
This is a fascinating one because obviously there is some movement happening pre-draft, which will go through once Richmond are officially on the clock. And a lot of talk has been teams are coming for number 2, pick 2, North Melbourne's. And I think that's going to be really fascinating because if that becomes pick 2, probably makes Richmond's pick 6. There's probably a reason that they've gone up for that. But they're in a wonderful position because if you did this mock draft 2 weeks ago, Jagger was the guy everyone thought would fall. So there was a talk that that's why Layla was number 1, because then they hopes Jagger would slide, and there was a good likelihood of that. 6 here is a real free hit for Richmond because they've got the best player that they perceive, Sam Layla. Then they're in the realms here as, is it a Josh Smiley? Do they go a bigger body? Do Richmond maybe look at building the arcs forward and back at this point? They definitely need a forward. Do they look at starting being annoying, bidding on Lombard early? This is a great little pick here because if Richmond can nail their first 2, anything can happen. So I'm 6 here. I think that 1, they've put so much time into Layla, that's their guarantee. I'm a bit different to other pundits. I think 6 is where they'll take a risk.
Okay. You mentioned the bid. I mean, we're going to talk about Levi Ashcroft at some point when it comes to this. Kako, when do we think the bid will come, if at all, for Levi Ashcroft?
Yeah, well, I mean, this was Pom's third hill. I said I built 3 hills. The big one was I said that there won't be a bid on Levi Ashcroft in the first 4 picks. And the reason that I think that is even though he's number 1, Richmond did a trade for pick 18. So there's probably some kind of covert agreement. The AFL claim they don't have these agreements. They do. North Melbourne genuinely have had difficulty keeping players. And I think North Melbourne will go on the proviso. We will be lovely. We will prioritise our player. Tell him that we love him. Then Carlton, they did the deal for the future second, which we needed to get up to 3. There's no way Nick Austin will wind Brisbane back up. And Adelaide genuinely don't bid. So I could see it sliding. I hope for the integrity of the draft we see Levi Ashcroft 1 or 2. However, I wouldn't be surprised to see it 5.
At 5? When the D's
I wouldn't be surprised to see it 5.
Okay. Interesting, mate. Interesting. We've got about 7 minutes to go before the first pick is made. We'll be covering absolutely every pick tonight and tomorrow. Tonight will be just the first round, and then tomorrow will be the rest of the draft. Pommy, the Saints, 7 and 8. What's the story?
Well, it's fascinating, this one, because Kautumi usually gets some good mail. And the mail that Kautumi gets is he gets the luxury of the agreement now that draftees are treated like senior players and they can only work with media pundits and you've got to go through due process. So draftees are probably the worst at telling you where they're going. They're very, very good at telling you, right? Do you know what I mean? They're very good at telling you where they're going. So it's fascinating because Kautumi's draft, he had them changed and he had the pre-draft. Everyone thought they were going for midfielders. Sauce going as far to say midfield was their priority. He had them taking two defenders, Big Travella and Alex Tyree in his draft, which will be fascinating because Trav will become a midfielder in time, no doubt. But it is interesting that Cal said that because maybe they will change their tact because this could be fascinating. I have them taking 2 midfielders, the 2 best available. It could be fascinating, though, if they throw a surprise, because Sauce is probably one of the hardest list managers to predict. And I've done Sauce for 4 years, and I got good at picking him, but they're hard.
Okay. Speaking of Sauce, the bid, the guy that's going to be keeping other clubs accountable and holding them to their word. Do we expect a Steve Silvani bid tonight?
Well, I suspect one of them picks he'll bid on Lombard. I generally do. It's interesting people are talking about him with Carlton because he's just sold pick 32. According to Cal Toomey, he's sold that. So that would now mean, as we predicted in our video, you ain't getting that. You ain't getting that bid. So it's going to be truly fascinating now what Sauce will do, because I think he bids, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him do, and this is Pom's conspiracy hat. Sauce's best mate is Dodoro. I wouldn't be surprised to see him put in a bid for Isaac Caker at pick 8. I wouldn't be surprised to see him maybe put a bit of pressure on Matt Roses.
On Matt Roses. Okay. Can you hear me?
Your sound's just gone, Terry. It went halfway through your sentence last time, but I improvised. I was hoping it was coming back.
Okay. What about now?
Still very quiet.
Very quiet. Okay. What about now?
Oh, Jesus, there we are. It's getting better.
Okay. We'll just sort of keep it here. I think it's because there's so many tabs that I've got up here and it's just messing with things. We'll have it sorted by tomorrow. You'll have to bear with me. I'll just have to keep handballing to you, Poppy. But Andrew Dillon, yeah.
You know what I find really entertaining is I'm sure the audience know I've got quite a loud voice, believe it or not. So I imagine that you guys are like turning the volume up for Terry, and then I speak and it sounds like Satan's in your living room. So I apologize for the power of my voice.
No, that's okay. That is okay. We will have a pick very shortly. They will be on the clock shortly, the Tigers. Is that what happens? They announced that the club is on the clock and then the club's got 5 minutes to make the pick.
Yep, so as soon as that comes on, they go on the clock. So some interesting things happen as well from an AFL rule perspective. As soon as they are on the clock, Richmond, all clubs now can talk to each other about trading picks in and out of this draft. And number 2, what happens is the AFL rule that you can only hold as many picks for list spots you have on your list also dies. So this is where you see teams trade out and start bringing in more picks to match bids and get a better pick for themselves. So this could be this is real interesting times now, because all the rules are gone. The only rule that still exists from a Carlton perspective and a Collingwood perspective is if you've sold a future first, you must have 2, 3, 4, and 5 future picks on your books. So that's the only rule that will still exist from a list management view at this stage, as soon as it says Richmond on the clock.
Okay. Well, Richmond are on the clock. 5 minutes to make the pick. We're expecting a Sam Lawler here, aren't we?
You know what? I was saying to my mate, who's a massive Tigers fan, everything in my soul would love it if you just picked a different player. I was like, everyone's draft strategy has Sam Layla and Levi Ashcroft off the books. It would be quality if they just said Finn O'Sullivan, and just totally threw everyone off. So it's going to be really, really interesting, this pick. But it should be Sam Layla, let's be honest. If it's not, I would genuinely be surprised.
Okay. I am going to unplug my mic and replug it in. Bear with me.
I will fill. It's funny because it's interesting. Jagger Smith was really, really, really high up on Richmond's radar. Particularly, he played VFL for them. Also, Harvey Langford has been heavily up there. And Sam Layla, obviously, another VFL guy. So this is really interesting because you can make an argument for 3 players, but it seems genuinely it's the saddest part of the year that we never know who gets who. So, but genuinely at this stage, we do know who pick 1 is. It's the sad part of the draft that it's like the worst kept secret, unfortunately. But it's always exciting. We could see him not be taken. Do you know what I mean? That would be probably the best scenario from a draft drama perspective. Petra, I totally agree. The 5 minutes is really weird. And you actually find historically with the 5-minute rule, every club takes 5 minutes as well. Usually 4 minutes 30 is the average pick. It's kind of a sad thing, but it makes great television and great ad revenue, I suppose. Hello? So I agree. It's a weird thing, but this is going to be interesting because pick one, we're going to delay it for 2 minutes 80, probably 2 minutes 18 seconds, and someone will do it. But pick is in, and Richmond Football Club for the culture select. Are they going to be one of these? I can't believe it says pick one is in, but no one's actually. They're still talking about historical pick ones. It's good TV. It's good TV. Tough Sneezo, could you imagine if that's how they actually did the draft? If they actually made us do it like guess through mimes? That would be brilliant. Pick one. It's going to be interesting as well. Dustin Martin. Does anyone else think? I think that's quite poetic, Dustin Martin giving it up, because Sam Layla has been dubbed the next Dustin Martin. So it's kind of like a baton passing, which I think is quite ceremonial. But we're still waiting for, and there it is officially. Sam Layla is the first player in the selection, which I think will surprise probably no one ever in the history. So, as we talked about at the start, a guy that is incredibly gifted at what he does. And he is probably the Dustin Martin replacement that we talked about. He is strong, mobile, kicks goals, and looks like the good times are back at the Richmond Football Club. Terry, are you back? We can't hear Terry. So that means that we lose pick 3 in our board of our best players. So it's interesting. Murphy Reed here got no love from Mr. Cow Toomey. And he is getting a lot of love from me. I have him highly ranked, and they don't do. So there is a pick swap as well for you at home. 34, 37, 56, and 73 from Brisbane goes to GWS, who trade 34 goes across, and they receive 37, 56, and 73. So that is a big trade there, just accumulating some points and whatnot. So a very interesting one there from them. And again, remember that rule we talked about. You can have more picks than you actually possess list spots. That's how they've got around that now. So that's a real fascinating trade and a little nuance with our AFL rules that you don't often see anywhere else. Can you hear me, Terry? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can, yeah.
That's not very good quality, though, is it?
No, but it is loud.
It is loud. It's the... Okay. I don't know what's going on with the mic, but it is what it is. North Melbourne on the clock.
Could you cheat and use your phone as the camera and mic?
Maybe.
That might be the goer. I mean, he's still all right.
Yeah, but like this actual mic doesn't even register now here. Like, you can't even hear me at all.
Good darts. But I mean, there it is. So Sam Layla, an official Richmond footballer, which is good. Which is good.
We're going to have to deal with this for now. So Sam Lawler, no surprises there?
Not really, no. It's I think we all expected that. I mean, you never know. Someone might have thought something else, but I mean, that is who they've been linked to. He'll get his wonderful Guernsey from the iconic Dustin Martin, and great little pickup for them.
Great pickup for them. Is this like the old key forwards? Like everyone just wants that prototype Dustin Martin type player if you can get one?
I think it is as well. We always have these niches, don't we? We have these like niches, and it's amazing that Dustin Martin is coming back. If you remember the famous Cam Rayner draft, 2017 to 2018, everyone wanted Dustin Martin. It's fascinating that he's retired, and there's been about 3 or 4 players being compared to him. So it's fantastic. But I mean, it makes sense. They've got it in, and it looks like North Melbourne have traded pick 2.
Wow.
What's no, they haven't. I lied. No. It's Essendon and St Kilda have traded it. They tricked us by flashing the screen and saying trade has happened. But that trade is 28 and 58, and St Kilda send 32 and 47 to Essendon, meaning that now St Kilda would have 28 instead of 32, which makes it probably unlikely that they are bidding on the legend that is.
Here, the Kirchers.
And it looks like Finn O'Sullivan has gone to the North Melbourne Football Club.
Yeah, Carlton are on the clock, and as we discussed earlier, we expected Finn O'Sullivan. That was one of my hills. I didn't think that they'd do that. So Finn O'Sullivan, great selection there, and I do disagree with a lot of people who said he's the same type of player that they've already got. I think he is a massive point of difference for them, and I think that's an absolute great pickup. So he goes there, and now we're going to find out who do Carlton pick.
Wow. In the end, I'm kind of glad that this decision's been taken out of our hands, because this was the original favourite for us, wasn't it?
You see, this is why I said don't believe the media hype, because the whole link was the fact that he was the second cousin of Sam Walsh. And, like, honestly, that is the most ridiculous reason to ever draft anyone. If we are honest, that is a ridiculous reason to draft a kid of that quality. So it doesn't surprise me that that's who they've gone with. A fantastic player as well. So they've got it really makes their midfield exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing how that midfield looks like in the next couple of years to come.
Okay, so let's go back to the power rankings and what's left. So we can see the power rankings of the players that are left. We can see, according to you, and we can also see who's just been drafted when you look to the right of the screen. Okay, it's the moment of truth. Is it Draper? Is it Smith? Is it Langford? Chat. Type in the comment with the player that you think it'll be.
It's going to be totally fascinating, because there is literally no right and wrong answer. All of these players are very, very good players. So this is going to be truly a good selection, whoever it becomes.
Oh my God. When I first saw Sid play, I was completely blown away. And I think the more that I've gotten close to the draft, the more I like the idea of Harvey Langford. Because I like footy IQ, ball use. He just moves in a way that we don't have.
He does. I mean, you've only got to look at like the power rankings. I mean, you've got still some of the best players are still available. Jagger was 2, Sid Draper was 4, so that's about its money. Harvey, I had him slightly less than Murphy Reed, which might surprise some people. But I mean, there is no right or wrong answer here. Yeah, either going for sheer breakneck speed and the now of Draper, you're going for the long-term security and the dynamicness, the 360 movement that Jagger has. There's no right or wrong pick here. So it's going to be really interesting what they do. And we'll find out in 1 minute, 30 seconds based on the other picks.
Wow. It's the moment of truth. I can see the tweet, moves like Jagger. I mean, you can just know they're going to play on that. Sid the Kid. I don't know.
It's all of them are great names for a draft purpose, to be fair, and for a chant purpose. They're all good. I mean, you never know. Imagine if Nick Austin called out a name such as Harvey Langford. He hasn't been linked. Pick is in.
Here we go. Who is it going to be? I've got the highlights ready. Got the highlights page on Jagger Smith. Let's see. Here we go. Jagger Smith. Wow.
There he is.
Football Club.
There he is, the Jagger boy. And this is going to be a really interesting one for what Carlton do with Mr. Jagger Smith. It's probably a return to 2021 Sam Walsh. It's going to give him some instant help. It's going to give Adam Chera some help. And Cal Toomey will be very proud of himself. He has got another one spot on. So, Jagger Smith, welcome to the football club.
Wow, just like that. We have a freshie.
We have fresh meat, as they say. So, I mean, Adelaide will be rubbing their hands together and probably being thankful that they didn't do the trade. Can you imagine if they did the trade? And Carlton, this is why I think the AFL should make the list managers put their pick 1 up straight away. So we actually know in the end if they were dicked or they weren't. It would be great TV.
This is a guy that plays and likes to move like what he describes as Zach Butters. That's the kind of player that we need. From these highlights, he also uses the ball really well, which is also something that we need.
Yeah, and like we were saying just earlier, like people read quite a lot into the junior football, particularly because they just read highlights, they don't watch full games, which is one of my bugbears. Jagger is definitely a lot more than just a kind of guy who handballs out the back. Very smart, got incredible football nous. And the big thing about him is he can literally lead a club as well. So it's funny. Like I've got Jana there. Like I've seen a lot of them comments that he's like Paddy Dow and stuff like that. He's not. He's no. People say that, and if you listen to me, I said, look, his floor is McRae, his ceiling is he's huge. It's game changing. So this is the safest pick, but a really really exciting. He's got great mobility. He's probably faster than everyone in there, but his endurance is impressive. His IQ, though, and that's probably the biggest thing I hear at Carlton is the complaint, is smarts. This guy has got footy smarts. So Jagger comes in, and Carlton have got a new point of difference. It's going to be entertaining to see him play, and some comparisons have been found a bit weird, though. Some people have been calling him the next Nick Dacos. There is nothing similar between Nick Dacos and Jagger, two different types of players, apart from Oakley Chargers boys. So he's going to come in and you're getting the 360. This guy literally, I hate to use the cliche, but moves like Jagger. You watch him in stoppage, this guy doesn't get touched. He's very clean. So welcome to the football club, and Carlton have got themselves a very good footballer. 300 gamer. In he comes.
Well, that was the first thing you said about him, is that he's like so safe. You just know he's going to be a 200-300 plus gamer. So that says something about his consistency and his durability, two of the most important traits that a Carlton player needs to have moving forward.
Spot on, and since April, he's been number 1 or number 2 in my power rankings. So he's probably he's the only player that's had that luxury. So he's an exciting player. And is he the point of difference that we would desperately need in? No, he's not. Sid Draper, he's nothing like that. But long term, this guy is incredible. Works hard both ways. And I would say, in my opinion, this means you're going to start seeing probably a better Sam Walsh, a better Adam Chera, because as this guy gets the size and gets ready, he's going to be a real compliment to them. So Carlton have obviously gone with, we're looking for IQ. We're looking for a guy that can dance. And there's no one in stoppage as good as this guy. He's Lockie Neal. I don't like the Zach Butters reference. Zach Butters, I think Sid Draper is the closest you've got to Zach Butters in there.
Right.
I think that's underselling. I really do think that's underselling, because I think he can do a lot more with the ball. He works really hard. The way that he hands off, the way that he fends, he's a lot more classy than Zach Butters. Zach Butters has got rugged appeal. This guy does it class. He's very Sam Mitchell, very Sam Mitchell out the back of a stockage. Dances around, doesn't get touched, defensive positioning. So looking forward to seeing him, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him start his career at halfback for the Blues.
All right. Well, Adelaide, pick 4. The pick is in. Are we expecting Sid Draper here?
I hope so. But this is good. I mean, if they went, there's no bad option here. At the moment, This is going kind of to plan. But few options here. Sid Draper.
There you go. It's Sid Draper.
There he is. Sid the Kid. And Sid Draper, what can we say about him? Adelaide have got some pace to burn. And I would say that Adelaide are definitely now building one of the more TV-friendly midfields in the competition. The thought here of having Sid Draper and their other midfielders just bust through with a bit of pace, quick handball style. It's going to be really interesting to see how this works. But this is probably the best case scenario for Adelaide, and the quietest secret in football, really, because this has been who, up until 2 days ago, they have been heavily linked with. So welcome back home, Sid Draper. I'm excited about seeing him. He's a good kid, so look after him, Adelaide.
Yeah, I like his highlights. I like his intensity. Big fan. I'll watch his career with intent. I like the way he goes about it. And I mean, he goes to the team that he supports. So that's going to be great for him and his family.
He does, and it makes the next couple of picks really interesting. So, I mean, Sid Draper, he gets to where he wanted to go. He gets to where Adelaide obviously wanted him to go. And what makes this really fascinating now is we haven't had any shocks, per se, in this class. So it's going to be really interesting how these next picks play out. Adelaide probably done now for the draft as well. Probably done. You'll probably see a bid match on Mr. Tyler Welsh. So Sid Draper and Tyler Welsh, I would say if you sat down with Adelaide pre this draft, they would have said that was their dream scenario. So they get their dream scenario. So that's good. And Kadia's made a great comment about Jagger quarterback. I really like that. People hate that analogy. AFL, very protective if you ever use an analogy from different sports, but very quarterback-esque the way that he gets the game moving. So that's good. Sid Draper, direct run, suits the run and carry game style of Adelaide Football Club. And Melbourne now got that predicament we talked about. Is this a mid like we expect it? Do they spring a surprise? It looks like they've just put in a bid on Levi Ashcroft, though. So this is going to be really, really interesting of how this plays out.
So, yeah, the bid is in. Now, run us through. What do Brisbane need to do right now?
So what they will do is they will match, and we saw them bring their pick swaps in. So they will then use the pick swaps. So currently they have to find the amount of picks, which is pick 5 we're technically on. So they've got to find 1502's worth of points. So they've brought in pick 32. They've traded down from 27. So they will start using their picks in their 30s at their full whack. So this is a great result for them. This is why they've traded down. So they're probably going to use what have they got here? They're going to use 40, 42, 43 and 46 there. They put it on the screen for you. So, and then they will get change from that. So you can see there that the change, they've been given 68, 94 and 97. So fascinating there of how the AFL works, but they've got the change they needed. And that means now you will get 24 picks today. People have been asking, but you'll get Richmond's pick now, which will be pick 24.
That's right.
Not
So
24.
tonight is essentially the first round, and then tomorrow we'll be live again at 7. I believe it's going to start at 7 again, and we will go through the rest of the draft, hopefully with some better quality sound. I think everyone can hear me, though, and that's fine now.
Mate, you sound, as usual, sensational, mate. So I won't have anything different, mate.
All right. So as we can see, to match the bid, the Brisbane Lions will gain 68, 94, 97, and they're going to lose 40, 42, 43, 46. Essentially, it's about getting the right points to match the bid.
Yeah, so, I mean, the way you want to look at it is, obviously, you get them discounts. So the reasons that they get them lesser picks, which have no value, is because the club must have the amount of picks that they lost. So you get change, which sometimes works out at 0 value. So I'd expect you see 90 and 94 to be passed at come when they come up. They won't be used, but it's one of the idiosyncrasies with the AFL.
Okay. Why don't we take a look at some Levi Ashcroft highlights while we're here. Now, had this not been a father-son prospect, where would he have gone?
Pick 1. The wonderful thing about Levi, and I've got a little bit of a hot spot for NGA academy players. The reason being is I just love academy players. They are being trained at an elite level from a lot younger than the other kids. They learn nutrition, speaking to draftees as well, who have got mates who happen to be playing club football with them and then go off and do better things and go and work for academies. I've got told this wonderful story saying that 1 minute we were there having pies and chips at the end of footy training, and suddenly the guy's having pasta pre-game and having a protein shake after, and I'm still eating my pies. There is a big, big change. These guys are professional from basically children. So it's a very, very exciting little opportunity for these young players. So I think he's incredible. There is no weaknesses in his game. He is literally... The best way I describe him is think of his brother, add goal kicking. So that's who he is. It's scary, to be honest, how good he is.
Well, that's just... Well, it's scary for Brisbane because they've just won a premiership and they've got arguably the best young talent in the country. Yeah,
and also for 10 prices of sweet FA as well, which, I mean, really does help, doesn't it, as well? But that's the nature of the beast. Unfortunately, the AFL is like other sports where the rich get richer, and it's sad. It's sad.
Oh, well, it is what it is, mate. In a couple of years, Cody Walker will be a Blue, and they'll be complaining about Carlton again.
I mean, it's fascinating as well. And obviously, I've been consistent at this. I did have a lot of mates who are Brisbane fans who were like, oh, Cody Walker's a top 3 pick. Oh, Ben Camporelli, I bet you changed your tune. No, I've never changed my tune. I don't think these people should be in the AFL draft proceedings. I think it should be better. But you know what? It's a great selection for them. You can't change the rules once the rules have already been there. Fair play to them. Wonderful player, terrific performer, and they've got one hell of a footballer. So, I mean, so far, all 5 clubs, you would say, have so far had the dream start as well. I think Brisbane will be stoked. He's slipped to 5. I'm chuffed because I had him at 5. Sid Draper in at 4. Jagger, I've ruled him out of Carlton. Here he is at Carlton. Even the greats get it wrong. Finn O'Sullivan, though, ends up at North, and Sam Layla ends up there. Real exciting top 5, though, and that's going to be the predicament. A lot of pressure here on some of these kids as well, because I can tell you now, Jagger Smith is going to be constantly compared to 10 and 12 or whatever we used to have. Sid Draper, he gets to go to his hometown club. Finn O'Sullivan, that's going to be a great conversation, isn't it? Throughout the year, you watch the media. Finn O'Sullivan versus Jagger. They're going to constantly compare that.
It's going to be a decade-long debate, and the reality is careers go up and down, week to week. Recency bias will kick in. Ultimately, you judge it. When do you ultimately judge it? At the end of their career, or like halfway through? Like,
look, comparison is the thief of joy. My pop used to tell me. So I think you do that. But I mean, at the end of the day, Melbourne are on the clock. Now, we hope to see Harvey Langford. I do want to give a shout out to Murphy Reed, because why Jagger was ranked so high is the same reason Murphy Reed is ranked so high. You are looking at Mr. Consistency. You know that I am bored. I like boring players. They are incredibly boring, and Harvey Langford is the excitement machine, and this is a great pickup for Melbourne Football Club. Melbourne will be stoked with this type of player. It's an insurance.
I like the way he moves. He's got this size about him and this strength about him.
Yeah, and we're in a league at the moment where speed is like all anyone cares about. If you're not quick, no one cares about you. And it should be worth noting that all of the boys taken in the top 5 run sub 3.5s. So Jagger's about 3. Finn O'Sullivan, I believe, he hasn't done the testing this year, but it was 3.32 from memory. Jagger was lightning. He was like Usain Bolt. Levi is very quick. Harvey Langford is on that like lower end scale and slow, but the thing when you watch Harvey play, and you watch him a lot, and although it's against kids, what stood out to me in his VFL game was he did the same as he does to kids, to men. He runs through people very like Cripper, but he's got that agility. He's got that dance footstep. He's got that ability to spin in a circle. So he's basically like an incredibly agile Cripps. So he's a real exciting prospect. And Harvey Langford could be the pick of the bunch. Could be the pick of the bunch. I wouldn't be surprised to see a guy outside of the 6 be the best player in the draft.
Langford, I'm just putting pieces together, but Langford seems like the one that in 10 years' time will really be a lot better than what he is in year 1. Like, some of these guys will be really good straight away, and Langford probably will as well, but he will be extremely better than what he is in year 1 when he gets to year 10.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that always upsets me about covering the draft is people expect these players to be like world all-stars day one, right? And the problem is that you're going from junior football, and a great analogy I always like to think junior football, national champs, top-tier junior football, to state level football, VFL, Sandful, to AFL. It's like comparing getting out of bed, going up the steps at Parliament Station to climbing Everest. Like, they are 3 different scales of climbing. It's a huge step up. So you got to give these players time. And all top 6 so far will have different states of development. But by the end, the best will prevail. So Harvey's well in a shout. He's very exciting. Someone asked, who's the rising star? That's a tough one. Wouldn't be surprised to see Langford be the rising star, because I think he'll get game time, and I think he'll be excited. I think he'll be excited. He's got a bit of je ne sais quoi about him.
All right. So Langford giving the family hugs and kisses. We love to see it. Richmond's on the clock. Minute 40 left, and this is where I think these power rankings start, getting activated, because we now have a rolling last 5 picks. Let's talk about we have the Levi Ashcroft bid. Let's talk about the next pick. If you're Richmond, pick 7, which is in right now. Quickly, who are you picking before it comes on screen?
Probably Josh Smiley. I'd try and get a point of difference with that midfield.
Oh, wow, you've done it. They've picked Josh Smiley. Yeah.
Have I? Oh. Well, there he is. He's the 4th best player left on here, but I think that's a great compliment. You've got Layla, you've got Josh, and this is where it scares me, because people start to see Josh and start saying, oh, hey up, this is the next Patrick Cripps. And you know what? I shook my head when Josh Smiley said, oh, I'll model my game on Patrick Cripps, because I was like, the stupidest thing you could say, my young friend, is that, because now everyone is going to expect you to be as good as Patrick Cripps day one. But he is, now the one knock on him is, you got to remember, if you did this mock draft 8 weeks ago, Josh Smiley was in the conversation for pick 1. Guy that slid down, and that's just because of the excitement around the other players. Josh Smiley is that physical specimen, a clearance stoppage type specialist, and he's going to be learning off some absolute superstars at Richmond, particularly Dion Prestia, who probably is the main man, but he's bigger than Dion Prestia. But if he can learn Dion Prestia's nuance around that, learn to use his body, this could be quite the pickup. So I'm really excited about seeing him. I think it's a great pickup for Richmond, because Richmond now are starting to complement their midfield. So they've done what most teams want to do. Get your midfield, and they've probably taken a player a little bit earlier than planned, but this is why I thought, do a risk here. This is where you can take a risk.
We've got some big boys now. Now that you look at Lawler, look at Smiley, they've got some nice, powerful young boys that they're going to add to their list.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, Uze wants to regiment his style. I think it's fascinating. A lot's been made about how many picks Richmond have. Richmond, so far, in my opinion, have done very well. I think they've got an A grade. They've got the players they want. And they've now have to wait till, 11 and 12, where they get 2 picks in a row. So they'll be really excited here and seeing if someone could slide. Like, if Murphy Reed can slide to 11, it's going to be really, really, really exciting. Chad asking 38. If you watch my Colin Cowton video, if you watch the draft video, Noah Mraz was my Cowton player. So I did, Chad. I gave Noah some love.
Okay. So that's Josh Smiley. We'll go back to our live power rankings. St Kilda is on the clock with pick 8. Where do we think they'll go? They've got 2 picks in a row. Like, do we expect a Leo Lombard bid? Like, what's the story now?
Well, at this stage here, it's the battle of Pom Cow to me here. I've gone mids. He's gone defenders. He went Toby Travella, which makes sense. Can play midfield. I think I gave them Murphy Reed. And a guy that looks like Hunter Clark, but in my opinion is a lot better. This is going to be interesting here, because Sauce is hard to predict. I wouldn't be surprised to see Sauce kill a minute and bid Isaac Caker, to be honest. But
okay.
I do think their first pick, they should take a player and then bid, in my opinion. I think it's a better look to give the guy a bit of love. But this is going to be interesting. Looking at what they need a POD in the midfield, I think. So looking at the players on, you could make a great argument for Bo Allen here. I know he's played halfback, but I think he will be... He's a massive point of difference what they've got. You've got to remember they've got defenders to come, Lennox Hoffman and Adrian Cole. So I think their need for a defender isn't there. So I don't think they'll take Taj Houghton. Xavier Lindsay, Murphy Reed. Like Murphy Reed, for me, I'd get him and then get Travella. You've got 2 picks in a row, and I think you could do it. This is going to be really interesting what they do. Really interesting what they do, though. Like, I hope to not see defenders here, but I won't put it past Sauce. But
I'm excited. I'm very excited. It's going to get
It's going to get juicy. I'm glad that the top 3, top 5 is done because, like, the talk is out of the way. Now we can get into the thick of the draft, and now you get some surprises.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is where they've got to go. They've got to go for it. Like, the pick is in, so they've done the right thing. They haven't bid with their first pick. I think they'll bid the next pick. Hopefully, this is Murphy Reid because I'll feel better because I'm starting to worry did I overrate Murph. But big fan.
Travaglia.
Here he is.
All right, so, talk to me about Toby Travaglia.
I mean, this kid's got a degree in kicking. It has to be said. This guy has got an absolute sweet as a nut foot. Hits targets all day long. Will definitely be a player that will develop into a midfielder as we go on. And this is a pick that I can get around. It'll be interesting if they go Alex Tyrou their next pick, like he predicted, because I don't think that that's what they need. But this is a really nice pick for them. Elite kick, can already play on the wing, and I think he'll grow up to be an on-baller as well. He just uses the pill so well, and bullet-like foot as well. Bullet-like foot. You know, when he kicks, it reminds me very much of, like, you know, that nice flat kick. He's got that flat kick in his arsenal that's low, but he's also got that, like, nice 50-meter opening the ground up to kick to the advantage. So this is going to be a real fascinating little pickup here. And he suits the game style because he's very good defensively as well. He ain't shy of coming front and back. So great pickup for them. And Saints building quite a halfback line.
Yeah. So is he good enough and ready enough to play in round 1?
100%, yeah. I think so far, all the 8 players, you could give them game time, definitely. Do you know what I mean? I think they've all got traits here, and Toby is that perfect starter player. He's size-wise, he's clever as well, and they're going to love. I reckon Brad Hill is rubbing his hands together because, as the highlights show, he loves that kick out in front of his winger as the exit, and Brad Hill's probably one of the best in the league at running onto them balls. So they might have lost some players in that back half of the ground. They're going with like a very aggressive player that I think will become a wingman very quickly and then play on the ball. So exciting times.
Well, they got, I mean, I don't know what the plan is for Nozaya Wanganeen Millera, whether he pushes into the midfield or if he just stays behind the ball, but they do, I mean, with Toby Travaglia now as well, let's just say Wanganeen Millera stays behind the ball. They are 2 very good ball users and very good halfback runners.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they've built it deadly. And we know Ross likes to build from the back as well, build from the back. And I think this is a really good pick. And be interesting what they do with this pick. I do predict this is now where you start being a bit of a douche. With 2 picks, bid on Caper. It'd be funny if Sauce does it because it would be an ode to Dodoro. Hopefully he does in a way. Hopefully he doesn't because I think that's a little bit mean. But this is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting what they do. But picks galore here. Is it Alex Tyrou? They've lost Josh Battle, who was more coming in from that intercept role, I always think. So that suits Alex Tyrou game. I think if you're bringing in Alex Tyrou as a pure long-term key defender, you're selling him short. He's definitely going to be that interceptor, 193. All of his skill sets suggest to me he's more coming in from that third position. He's going to damage you. And that's something that Alex can do. Probably early doors. Needs to put on a bit of size because I don't think he'll get that freedom against the big players. Interesting what he does because there's so many people that you could look at. Harry Armstrong, people have talked, they want forward backup, which I disagree with. I think Max King will come good. Bo Allen, incredibly exciting. Xavier Lindsay, if you ever wanted another guy that's got elite footy smarts, incredible kicking, and incredible aerobic capacity, they've got a real good choice here. And there we are, bid pending. He's done it!
There it is, Lombard.
They've done the first one, and I expect Gold Coast to match this without thinking. Another player that I think in a free society would be top 5.
So just for the audience, the bid has been made for Leo Lombard, and therefore the Suns are going to have to match. So we're just going to show some Leo Lombard highlights. Didn't really hear much about him throughout this process, Pommy, because I guess he had, his ties to Gold Coast, but mate, he's got all the moves, doesn't he?
He does indeed, and the wonderful thing about Leo Lombard is he is just what's been coming out of their academy quite a lot recently. A type of player that he models his game on Tuck Miller, which we seem to hear all the time when you hear teams talk. And he is definitely one of them players that I think in the long run we're going to see a lot of. He very is Tuck Millery, but he also kicks goals out of next to nothing at times as well. He's going to be a very exciting customer, and they've got a bargain because honestly, on an open market, I would say you would see this guy go top 5. So I think it's a huge result all round. And now we wait and see. Does Sauce do the classic banter, which is always my favourite thing in these drafts? Does he double bid? We don't often see it all.
He did it, I feel, when he was with us. Was it with Liam Henry and maybe someone else?
And then traded down.
That's right. Was that the Brody Kemp draft?
It was, yeah. Liam Henry. I can't remember who the second player was, but yeah, it was Liam Henry, and yeah. And then Sauce played it off, if you remember, that he was just trying to get time for the deal, and it's like, we don't think that's true. But
Chris Rivetto, you're right. It was for Tom Green.
That was it, yeah. Tom Green, Liam Henry.
All right. So Andrew Dillon back on stage. Gold Coast have selected Leo Lombard. So it's official. He will become a Sun. No surprises there. That means that the Saints have bought themselves some time. They're on the clock. That means there's 5 minutes to go. So now what?
Yeah, well, I mean, now this will be interesting because they've obviously gone with that approach that are they buying? There's two options here. They're buying time either to trade this out, which has been heavy rumours, or they're looking. So this is going to be really interesting what they look to do. Do they look to take Alex Tyree as teams have predicted, or do they look to take what they need? It's going to be really fascinating if they do something like that. Do they go for that defender? Is it Alex Tyree? Because we're now getting into Alex Tyree territory. Maybe it's a bit late to take him. Mm-hmm. Or do they go best available mid? So I expect to see anyone of Tyree to Murphy Reed to Xavier Lindsay. It's going to be fascinating what they do, but I'd be shocked if it's Tyree when they've got Cole and Hoffman to come. I think that's too many defenders. But Sauce is his own man, and he won't listen to me.
There's one thing Sauce will do. That is what Sauce wants.
Yeah, it'd be fascinating what he does as well. Because I mean, very good pickup. I mean, let's be honest. If it is Travella and him, brilliant. Yeah. But so in reality, is it what they need? I don't feel like it is. It's going to be interesting. Luke Traynor as well, my boy, getting no love from any of the AFL at the moment. So this is going to be really interesting what he does.
Okay. Well, while you're fixing up those power rankings, those of you watching from home, if you're watching on YouTube, which I think most of you are, please hit the like button. It's the thumbs up button. If you are watching from the Blue Abroad YouTube channel or the Pommy and Oz YouTube channel, please make sure you are subscribed. As you can see, a lot of work goes into getting this sorted, especially live updates. This is a bit of you just don't know what's happening next. So thank you for tuning in. Hope you're enjoying the broadcast. So, Pommy, you just added Joe Berry. Take me through power rankings. What's the status?
Yeah, so Murphy Reed, I had 6 pre-draft, so I'm a huge fan of consistent performers, and Murphy Reed is Mr. Consistency. Tyroo, obviously, now we're literally where we need to be. Harry Armstrong, Isaac Keiko, Xavier Lindsay, Bo Allen, Job Shannon, and then you get into the real exciting type players. Taj Houghton, horrifically injured all year, incredible talent when he has played. Luke Traynor, I think, is the faller of this draft, and in my opinion, my favourite defender in this draft. And Joe Berry, the dynamic, small, the future. This could be an exciting get. So everyone on there is exciting for different reasons. So it's going to be interesting here. Pick is in.
The pick is in. We will see shortly. I hope I've got the name. Let's go. Let's have a look. Alex Tyroo. It's the name I had up here. Fantastic. All right. Let's talk about Alex Tyroo.
Alex Tyroo, the man who came from nowhere, and Gippsland power boy. And it's always fascinating, these AFL drafts, because your back end of the year is more important than how you start. It's really funny. You know, the old saying, it's how you finish, not how you start. Very similar in AFL. This guy has blitzed up the board, and you've only got to watch him to understand why. This guy is eye-catching. He towers over teams. He's exciting. He's that modern-day interceptor. He attacks the ball. He's got the great nickname, the Flying Viking, which I think is a sensational nickname. And he's got that reason. He's got the hair. He's got that nice appeal. And it's a surprise for me personally. I'd love to hear St Kilda's fans' opinions. You've gone defender heavy. Is that what you wanted? Because to me, I don't think it is what I would have wanted for them, but Sauce has got two very, very good footballers here. So this is going to be really interesting of how it looks.
Just looking at his highlights, he's got this aura. I don't know. There's an aura about him. This is the first time I've watched his highlights.
Do you know who he reminds me of in his draft year?
Who?
Caleb Marchbank.
Oh.
Because Caleb Marchbank was that player that didn't really exist. It was like new wave in the AFL when Caleb Marchbank came to the table. And he is that en vogue thing we see in the AFL now that everyone wants. Everyone wants that exciting, attack the ball, break the game open, attack from the back, all that nonsense. He is that man. He is that man. So I don't think his future is at key forward, though. I think you will see this gentleman learn his craft as a third and will become a very, very good player at it as well. But very interesting what they do with this one. They've got the players, they've got a battle replacement, and they've got a very exciting midfielder. It's going to be interesting how it transforms in the next couple of years for him.
And they also got a young Jack Carroll as well, who's been in the system for a couple of years. So, yeah.
I suppose, yeah. That'll be interesting how that goes.
Okay, power rankings updated. Murphy Reed still yet to be taken. Is it now? Is it? You know, we've got the D's on the clock with another pick. What happens?
It's fantastic. It's fascinating this because Jagger. The thing that I liked about Jagger being the top free player here in our rankings, then Murphy Reed being the sixth, is just their ability to just put in numbers no matter what they do. And Murphy Reed probably has an advantage over Jagger in one way, which is his ability that he's played a variety of positions and always performed. The real go-to man at Sandy and at Vic Metro, when there is an issue, they put him in there and he does a job. And this is real a surprise to me. And I'd imagine with Melbourne, they're going to pass him up. I'd imagine this is going to be Harry Armstrong or Job Shanahan. If Richmond somehow get their hands on Murphy Reed, that could be the three best picks ever taken in an AFL draft.
Wow. Okay.
Like in the same year.
Well, that's the plan.
So we expect a key here. We expect a big guy here. We expect Harry Armstrong. I had him going there. could be Job Shanahan. Real fascinating because the Keiko Shanahan is a bit like, do you prefer Mackay or Kerno? Do you prefer Tom Lynch or Hawkins? They're very different types of players. And I do feel for Richmond, Shanahan suits what they're looking for, where Harry Armstrong does scream Melbourne-type player. So it's going to be fascinating what they do. Only Melbourne will know. I'd love them to pick Murphy Reid, but I know they're not going to. So,
all right. Well, the pick is in, so any moment now we'll get that. I've got Harry Armstrong's highlights up on screen ready, but we'll see. Here we go. With the pick, Melbourne select Xavier Lindsay. All right, Xavier Lindsay. Let's talk.
So this is probably the first shock of the draft, but a guy that has literally got a degree in kickology, as Xavier Lindsay. He finds the ball very, very easy and very similar to the profile with more ball of Ollie Hollands. Works incredibly hard front and back. Always gets in position. He looks for that overlap run. He looks to bring the teammates in. Nice kick in action as well. Like we say, this guy doesn't waste the ball. He can hold the ball up as well really well. Going sideways, if he needs to go long, he does it. He reads forwards, leads incredibly well. This is a real interesting one because they've probably got one of the best players at doing this for a long period of time in Ed Langdon. You can see Ed Langdon starting to lose his pace. You never lose your endurance. They're getting a remarkable young version of him who's going to learn off the best, who I think as he grows older will become that mid-forward. So great get for them. And I really like the fact Melbourne have gone Harvey Langford and Xavier Lindsay. This is a real exciting combination long-term. And it's going to be interesting how it pays out, but I like them picks on paper.
Yeah, I mean, from before any pick was made, we kind of looked at the Ds at the start of this show and said a midfielder and a defender. So they've gone to plan. They've actually got a pretty good list, considering they're about to add two, top 11 picks, top 10 picks.
I think people forget, like, there's a couple of teams in this league that I think people are sleeping on and who finished just horrifically last year. These are one of the teams that did. Like, you look at Melbourne losing Petrarca when they did, who is world class, it has to be said. Oliver never got himself going. If them two start firing, they're a dangerous team, let's be honest. Melbourne won't be rubbish forever, so this is going to be really exciting for them. They've gone really bold. I wouldn't be surprised to see Melbourne come back into this draft as well. I wouldn't be surprised. I'd watch this space there. I reckon they may be looking at these key position players with interest, seeing where they slip and go, you know what, we'll have a bit of that.
Okay. So, Richmond, back on the clock. 2 minutes, 20 to go. What is this? Is this a Murphy Reid?
Richmond will be looking at this and going, right, okay, we've got Josh Smiley. We've got our future big version of Prestia, but it's going to suit the modern game. That player isn't a small meatball. He's a big behemoth of a player. So he'll imprint learn off him. Then they've got Sam Layla. They've lost the great legend that is Dustin Martin. So now they're looking at this and going, right, okay, we've got our midfield sorted. So this is probably Shanahan Armstrong territory. I think they'll go with a forward. I think they'll go, right, we've got 2 years max out of Mr. Tom Lynch. We need to get someone in there. I would say from a profile point of view, if I'm going key forward, Shanahan, I think, has got loads he can learn off Tom Lynch. It's going to be interesting, though, because Murphy Reid is there. I would also hope to see him there, pick 13. Isaac Keiko be bid, because then Essendon will be asking the question. But it's got to be said, if Essendon retained pick 9, there would have been a bid at pick 8. There's no way these clubs would have allowed it. Sauce would have bid early on Keiko. He would have stopped that next bid. There's no way that would have happened. So It's always harsh when you trade your pick out. People go, oh, you've made a mistake. If that pick was there, though, there isn't a chance in hell people would have let him have a top 10 pick without bidding on the player. But I'd imagine you'll see a Keiko bid pick 13, and I'm going to predict, I'm going to put my neck on the line, Harry Armstrong.
All right. Harry Armstrong. Harry Armstrong.
Tell you what, West Coast will be, if West Coast get Murphy Reed, I couldn't think of a better footballer for West Coast to have. What a dream boat to combine with young Harley Reid. What player?
All right, Andrew Dillon. He's walking up to the stage. Here we go.
Oh, is Dillon back now?
Who did he say? Who was it? Was it Taj Houghton?
Taj Houghton.
Taj Houghton. Let's discuss.
What a surprise that is. And this is a guy that just littered with injuries this year. He was, God bless him. But a player that, had he played the whole season, could have been in a shout of top 5 conundrums. And they've gone really aggressive with these exciting players. They've got Sam Layla, and then they've got a half forward that really is the conduit between midfield and forward. He is Trent Houghton's son, Ollie Houghton's brother, and this is an exciting pick. They have gone exciting. So you'd imagine that they have really, really processed players that play forward of centre here, midfield and forward. And that makes sense. If you look at their backline is fairly young, fairly talented. So they're definitely looking at these types of forward of centre balls to get exciting, get ball movement. And we know, if you listen to Adam when he's been talking, Uze, of how he wants to play, he said he wanted to stray away from that controlled dimmer game style and go to a more modern day, quick handball release. And he did use Kingsley as an example, said the GWS model, where it's very manic with the ball movement, less about pressure. It's about getting them overlap runs and overloading the defensive 50 of the opposition. So he's targeted them players. So very interesting, great selection. And it's going to be interesting of how this looks come the end of the draft time.
There you go. Congratulations to Taj Houghton. We're watching a game here between Sandringham and Oakley where he had 32 possessions and 4 goals. So he's got some tricks.
It'd be interesting to see if, just little controversial guess, wonder if they give a train-on spot for Ollie Houghton. I wonder if that's in the works. I know it's romantic, that, but wouldn't it be great if they do? Because I do feel like Ollie Houghton deserves a chance at AFL level. He 100% does. He just could never get going, bless him. Could never get going.
Right. So the Tides are back on the clock. We've got another pick now coming up. Surely this is where we see one of those keys, right? So this is where we see an Armstrong or a Shanahan.
Well, I mean, we're starting to see these players come through now that we didn't expect. To be taken. So Taj Houghton come a bit early. This is fascinating if they do it. If they don't do it, do they bank that one's going to slide at 18, 19? Do they do that? Because probably one will. Do you know what I mean? One will. Is that a jaunty forward? They put the time in that. So this is exciting. You've got Murphy Reed there. That would be brilliant. That would be the coup de grace, an incredible ball user who's going to split open midfields with your aggressive Smiley, with your finisher Layla, and then your exciting conduit Taj Houghton. It's a real great conundrum. I would love to see Harry Armstrong here, though. I do feel like this is the opportunity to get the best mid available. So it's going to be interesting what we do, and you'll see a Ruckman has come onto our power rankings. Alex Dodson, a guy that was touted as a top 10 pick earlier, 4 weeks ago, and interesting, was outside of the 30 in Cal Toomey's final mock rankings. A guy that's risen, did an interview saying, oh, by the way, I want to do football. I don't want to do basketball. And then suddenly no one wants him. Fascinating. But Alex Dodson, he could be one to watch.
Okay. Sam Marshall, saw his name pop up. What's he?
So Sam Marshall, he's another Brisbane Academy player. And this is another guy who reminds me a lot of Cam McKenzie from the draft a couple of years ago. A guy that's kind of just been forgotten about because of who he plays with. All the other players are giving their star factor. He's a hard worker, two-way runner. And if ever you had to put a player down as someone that he's going to learn a lot at Brisbane, Sam Marshall is it. And I look at Sam Marshall, his endurance, his ball winning, his intelligence. He's definitely a player that I would be surprised someone doesn't put a bid in earlier for him. Cal team has got him 25, but this guy is good, real good player. And again, the academy coming up good. Isaac Caker bid on.
Bid on, yes. So that means that Essendon are going to have to get their points together and match. So he will go to the Bombers, presumably. What is the story with him?
Best small forward in the draft. If you're looking for, you remember Anthony McDonald Tipper Woody? We all loved him, didn't we? Like, even though we're Carlton fans, we fell in love with him. And the great thing about this guy is he is everything that, I can see a song coming about Isaac Caker. He is standout. He's not scared of pressure. He can kick goals out of his backside. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him have a transition like Isaac Rankine and become a midfielder as time goes on. Just watch this space with that. Would not be shocked to see him become like a midfield type player because this kid can play football. Great player. Nick Watson, great call. Eye of the moment. He could potentially be that type of Nick Watson type player. I think great pickup for Essendon. And Essendon will be soaked because it's cost them next to nothing to get this player. Next to nothing.
Is he a player that is, ready to go round one? Like, how far into the draft until we start saying, okay, maybe he won't be playing much next year?
Isaac Caker will be a round one chance. Small forwards, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's a position that if you're good at what you do, you can play day one. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him there. I think the only player that's been picked thus far, I don't think will be a chance for round one. It's probably two. I don't think Alex Tyree will play round one. I think Ross will want him to get up to the speed of the game in VFL because it's such a nuanced position. Being able to intercept, I think he needs to get with the speed. You've only got to listen to VFL footballers to say it's a different game. Imagine how hard it is from there. And I think Josh Smiley won't play. I think his body needs to develop. And I think Richmond know they've got the big guys. They've got Hopper. They've got Prestia, so a couple of games. But I think the rest will be chances for round one. So that's my big call.
Okay. I like it. I'm just watching his highlights now. He's very lively, this kid.
Mate, the dreads, the way he plays. You know what? I hate to say this because he's an Essendon fan. So no offence to Essendon fans. Remember, we are streaming on a pure Carlton channel. So I don't want to be too complimentary. But honestly, when you watch a player, and this is me getting old now, but sometimes you just enjoy them having a smile on the face. He makes you smile. Do you know what I mean? Like, he looks like he's having fun out there, which is, I think, huge. Do you know what I mean? I think he's huge.
It's key.
Huge. Like honestly, he looks like he reminds me of like how you play football in your back garden with your pals. Do you know what I mean? Like, it looks like he's playing out there with his front. Good call, Richard. Sorry, I forgot Taj Houghton. He will have a delayed start to the season as well. Injuries as well. He's got an ACL. So, yeah, only 3 players, Terry, so far. I don't think we'll play round one.
Okay. All right. Well, we've got Richmond back on the clock. Pretty much repeating ourselves. We think they're going to go a key here, but we will wait and see. Has anything been a mega shock? I mean, you can't get absolutely everything right with every pick, but has anything been so far like a mega shock to you?
Taj Houghton going that early. It makes sense, though, because, like I said, Richmond can afford, once they nail picks, to take risks. I think they took a bit of a risk with 6. I think they took him a bit earlier than most people had him planned. Certainly where I would have taken him, so I love that. And then I think now they're in the situation of where they can take a few punts. So Taj, I think, could be an incredible high ceiling. They get him right. They've got the players. Pick 14 with Richmond now. They've got the world is their oyster. I mean, I could see them. The logic says Harry Armstrong, but if they get Bo Allen here, boy, oh boy, Richmond have nailed the draft. If it's Bo Allen here, incredible.
Okay. Well, they have a minute and 40 odd seconds left to make this pick. There's no more bid opportunities here, is there? This is now just going to be a pick.
I mean, if you did Sam Marshall right now, I'd applaud it, but I don't. I think people are going to play nice. They've got to play nice with Brisbane, Richmond. They did that deal, so I don't expect it. I don't expect to see a bid on there. So this is going to be really interesting. A few people in the comment section bagging Jagger Smith.
How? Based on what?
I've got to say, Jagger Smith, if I can tell you haven't watched much junior football, if you can't see why he's top 3 of everyone's power ranking. So I had him 1 for most of the year. The worst I've seen him is 3. Mr. Consistency. Do you know what I mean? If you look at Sam Walsh's draft year, go back and watch 2 games, watch Jagger Smith's, identical. Identical. So, sorry, CSB, you were talking about Dow. No, I agree. Anyone who's comparing him to Dow hasn't seen, but I'm telling you, world-class potential. So get behind him. Good kid. But we are on Richmond. Richmond are delaying it. This is going to be, I'm going to go bold. I think they might select Bo Allen here.
Bo Allen? Okay.
I think if they select Bo Allen, I'll stand up and applaud.
Okay. Well, it's coming in 5 seconds. Where is he? All right.
Can I just say as well, I don't know, I've got it on volume 2. Right? Volume 2. But can I just say, Nat Edwards has been absolutely fantastic. Like, she's really leading and getting the knowledge out of these two really well. I'm actually really impressed.
Okay. I've got it on mute. But
I've got it on 1 so I can just hear it so when they call it out, because the screen on I'm watching the AFL stream. It takes ages for them from saying the pick to flash it on the screen.
I didn't hear their pick. Who was it?
I think it was Jonty Fall. Is it?
Jonty Fall? I haven't even got his highlights up. Okay. Can you just
That
fill
is
me in?
amazing. Well, tell you what. So we said that this is where you can start taking risks. They have taken Jonty Fall. He was 29th on our list. So that's 16th in the power rankings. Key forward, 195. Incredible one-on-one. Loves bringing the ball to ground to his small as well, which is a fascinating little trait. And here is your first genuine shock of the draft with Job Shanahan and Harry Armstrong on the selection table to take what was ranked by most people as the 3rd best key forward in the draft is an excessive shock. And this really showcases they have looked at talent and gone with what they want. I like Jonty Forward. It's quite funny, right? It's quite funny because Harry Armstrong and Job Shanahan I've been having an argument with. And I did say I don't think Harry Armstrong will be the best forward in 10 years' time from a goal-kicking output. And Jonty Fall has that knack of kicking goals when you need goals and links up with, comes up like Harry does, likes that channel up at half forward. So suddenly a great pickup here for Tom Lynch to work on. And this is going to be one of them ones that we'll talk about because it's so early, but great selection by Richmond. Wow. Can't wait to see him play.
Wow. It's amazing that, he wasn't invited to the night and he's obviously doing the interview from home. So where was he scheduled to be picked?
I had him pick 29 in my draft. I think I can't remember who I had him going to. In my rankings, he was 16 so far. So he was the 16th best person left over there. But Dabo on our stream, good day to you, mate. Good friend of the channel. Spot on. He's very hungry and very competitive. So that's probably appealed to them. And I think that's a real nice selection. You know what? I look at Richmond and these are selections where you can see that they've really gone with, we've identified our talent. This is what we want. Who cares about mock orders? And you know what? West Coast Eagles right now will be going, fucking hell, Bo Allen, bro. Wait, we've been interviewing all these other people. Bo Allen's coming. That's
so Bo Allen
great
is
result.
WA.
Yeah, he is. So this is going to be interesting here because Bo Allen is the WA talent. I would love the Eagles, though, to go Murphy Reid. I think that really makes me excited. But Bo Allen definitely has been the Sid Draper all year for Adelaide. Everyone says that they hope Bo Allen slides. If Bo Allen slides here, Fremantle are going to burst into tears with laughter. So I reckon it's Bo Allen.
Bo Allen. Okay. Well, they've got about 2 minutes left, a minute 40 odd. We've seen Jack Whitlock enter himself into the fold. We've got the Eagles coming up. At what point is it too far for Murphy Reid not to be drafted?
Murphy Reid won't 1,000% get past GWS because GWS, if you had to build a prototype GWS player, Murphy Reid is your man. Like they love them. They're really skill level based. Over ceiling, you look at how GWS draft, it's very skill level based. But like Eagles here, like big shout out to the Eagles. Spinksy is on our channel. He's a massive Eagles man, and he hated pick 3, and so did I. But what's fascinating here is you couldn't find a better result for the Eagles for trading pick 3. Like this would be a dream.
A trade has happened. Port Adelaide have traded
with the Eagles.
Yeah, 16 and 45 for 15. So they're going to be picking next. What does this mean?
Well, I mean, this probably means that most people had linked the Port Adelaide Football Club to Harry Armstrong, or a key was the rumours. They've obviously, if they've given up Bo Allen here, that's mental. But I think this is going to be Harry Armstrong and they get Bo Allen. But this is really Samoa. If this is Bo Allen and I'd imagine then West Coast go Murphy Reid. But this is going to be really, really interesting what they do. Like, this is, I can't imagine Eagles would give up Bo Allen. But I mean, stranger things have happened. There is also something to come into it that traditionally teams interstate will look to try and surround. They've obviously got Harley Reid now, Eagles, and people forget that. Harley Reid is a very well-respected member of his state side when he played. So a lot of these players will be familiar with Harley Reid. So I wouldn't be surprised to Eagles not to do what people suspect and always get WA players, but actually build a Victorian thing. Because you saw Carlton do it with Cripps. We always used to go WA players.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well,
so this could be fascinating.
The pick is in. The pick is in. Here we go.
So many great options for them, though.
I don't know who he said.
Joe Barry, I think.
Joe Barry.
So the small forward, they pocket Maestro, and Isaac Caker is the X Factor, the machine. The machine, as they call him. He's exciting to watch. Joe Barry is that understated, brilliant small forward who works incredibly hard defensively, but on the other hand as well, can kick snags. He's a proper team player as well. If you watch Carlton Football Club, we talk quite a lot about Lockie Fogarty's ability to always be the last player to touch the ball before a goal. So does this guy. This guy gets his hands in close, loves a paddle on. This is a really good pickup. And when we talked about Port's needs, we talked in my draft, we talked about smalls, toes. They're in a real good position. I think this is a reaction that Fremantle were quite hot that they were taking Joe Barry as their first pick. That's who they saw as their pick. So obviously, West Coast Eagles get a better pick towards the end of the draft, but also they get what they wanted. So this is a great deal for all teams. West Coast get to piss Fremantle off because Fremantle were heavily suspected to take Joe Barry. Port get their target. And Eagles will probably select Bo Allen. It's coming up Millhouse. Coming up Millhouse for the Eagles. Coming up
and
Millhouse.
They get an extra pick. So, okay. So talk to me about why Port do this move. Was there someone after the Eagles who they were fearful was going to take Joe Barry?
Well, I mean, I'd imagine here what has happened is that the Eagles maybe have indicated something that they were a bit unsure of, or maybe they just wanted to take that option out. I mean, what it probably does is there'll be an element here as it's a great pickup for the Eagles. There might be some kind of deal here, but obviously they wanted to just make sure that they weren't going to risk it for the biscuit, and that's probably the best thing to do sometimes. Sometimes you've got to do that. So I don't think Eagles would have taken him, but it's Eagles will be chuffed because they get a better pick. Like, they now get another pick to use as well. Their next pick was about 10 picks away, so now they get 2 picks within the same realms of each other, so it allows them to get what they want as well. So this is going to be interesting. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised to see that there was an element of piss take here with Fremantle.
Why?
Well, because Fremantle have been open on Joe Barry.
Mm-hmm.
They've been very open. I wouldn't be surprised if they've gone, unlucky, boys.
There you go. Bo Allen. I've got highlights here from his prelim final, Swan Districts, Peel Thunder. So he played senior football.
He did indeed. He's a good little he's a good little player, very good little player, and we're getting near the end as well. We're getting near the end. The Doggies are the 5th team to pick, aren't they? There we are. So this is going to be a real interesting one of what happens now.
Absolutely. Well, like I said earlier, if those of you watching at home, if you're enjoying the stream and you're enjoying the coverage, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channels. Pommy in Oz on YouTube, Blue Abroad here. Subscribing is free. I promise, well, I hope by tomorrow that my audio is crisp and clean like it usually is. Apologies for that. But Pommy, I think for our first go, we're doing okay.
Hey, look, there's a lot of graphics going on. I hope you guys and girls are enjoying it, so thank you very much for that. I do want to do just a bit of an egotistical trip. I hit 6,500 this morning, so shout out to all you wonderful new people who are in watching this stream. You're all angels in my book, but this is a lot of fun, a lot of hard work all year. This is nearly my summer holidays, so Eagles are about to put it now.
Your boy Bo Allen, easy done. He will go to the Eagles with pick 16. Let's discuss.
If ever you wanted best case scenario, do you know what I mean? You know what? I used to have an ex-girlfriend say to me that I can't look past the worst case scenario. Best case scenario here for the Eagles, if they had to write their dream draft, it would be shaft Fremantle for Berry, get Bo Allen. Operation A star. Bo Allen started his career at halfback, has moved into the midfield, but has been played predominantly third forward, third toe. If you ever wanted to see, I don't like comparisons, but imagine Tom Stewart. Tom Stewart 2.0. Here he is. This guy can go up into the midfield, interceptor, incredible burst speed. He's got endurance, uses the ball well, built like a man, 191. What a pickup. What a pickup for him. Adelaide, West Coast Eagles will be dancing in the streets here. that they made a disaster of trading pick 3, some said. They've got their primary target and they get 2 picks in the late second round anyway. What an absolute result for the Eagles. And you know what? I'm happy for the Eagles because Eagles are too big of a club to stay at the bottom for too long. So what a player to combine with the Harley dog as well.
Good on him. Good on him.
Mate, it was a big risk trading pick 3. And you know what? What's the old saying? Do you know what I mean? Like, you've got to be brave, haven't you, sometimes? Got to be brave.
Absolutely.
And they were brave.
Okay. So that's Bo Allen. He's looking good. I like what I see here. I like kids who can show something at the senior level. I'm a sucker for it.
Mate, yeah, and he did incredibly well as in this draft class as well. He's been a very strong competitor, so they'll be absolutely stoked with that result, no doubt about it. And the last pick we'll see is Richmond's second pick, I believe, today. So we are flying through the end, which is really sad. But there you'll see Bo Allen, great pickup, and I'm missing a junior player. Who am I missing? Detoli. Who's after Detoli? Someone tell me. My favourite, Harrison Oliver. So
Harrison Oliver. That is I don't know anything about Harrison Oliver, but I really like that name.
Okay, imagine Nick Newman with Jordan Boyd's kicking action.
Get out of here. No way.
I'd never lie to you in the chat.
That's true.
I mean, the only people true. I don't lie to, my wife, chat, and you. So there they
are. Okay, well, we have 1:53 to go. Fremantle are going to make their first selection. I haven't even asked you about Fremantle. What is the Fremantle story?
Yeah, well, I mean, Fremantle are really, really interesting, like just a real interesting case here, because when you look at what they're about and what they wanted, Joe Berry, I think, was all of our selections. And that's where I think one of the few times that all the content creators, all the pundits were joined and unanimous about Joe Berry this was the area we expected him. It's going to be fascinating what they do here, because when you look at what they want, they definitely want some PODs around there. Now, I wouldn't be surprised here, though, Murphy Reid is on the table. I really wouldn't, because we know that they met with Xavier Lindsay. We know they met with Taj Houghton. I wouldn't be surprised to see here they go Murphy Reid, though. An absolute incredible player who suits that game style they want of elite kick, bigger body, and a player that's reliable. I think Murphy Reid would be the man if I was them, but you never know.
You are 100% spot on. It's Murphy Reid.
You know what? And there was a world where Pom could have been. When Pom decided to pick this club, his favourite club, just by how they looked. Purple is my favourite colour, and what a selection for them. What a selection for them. I really like this selection. It's a huge result as well. If you lose Joe Berry, I don't mind that. I know a lot of Fremantle fans may be gutted. They may be like, Pom, Joe Berry was our man. I actually think Murphy Reid is a better prospect, because I think you can find the small forwards a bit later on. This is a great pickup, because I had him as the 6th ranked best player in this draft. One of my favourites, a guy that is incredible in the leadership group, mature, does a lot of work with the younger players as well. He likes to put the cones out and help coach them as well. So that's a good ball winner, kicks goals, conduit from half forward. And you know what? He's learning off the best player to learn off. If he can learn half of what Nat 5 knows, this kid could be top class. You wanted my pick for Rising Star. Murphy Reid will be top 3 of the Rising Star. Absolutely.
Really?
Gem. I love Murph.
Well, you know, when I watched his highlights, because, I mean, he was a name that we briefly spoke about for Carlton. When I watch his highlights, I see a guy that thinks quick, and therefore the game comes slow to him. He's got this composure about him.
mate, he's intelligent. He's one of them players that, the big thing is, intelligence. He's got the IQ. He knows where to be. And I always say this, your brain will always be quicker than, your feet. And he thinks, he knows what's going to happen before. It's an uncanny ability. And it's a beautiful, beautiful situation for him because he's an elite user of the football, smart, kicks goals, got everything you want. This is a bargain buy. A bargain buy for them. And tell you what, Fremantle will be laughing back at Eagles going, we lost Berry, bro. We got Reid. Win-win. So it's not often
all going to be okay.
Yeah, well, everyone will be happy here. Like, dream case scenario. I love Murphy Reid. And him and Jagger, the same reasons. But why the slide? Richard, you've led me there. Ankle injuries. This is probably where he doesn't have enough POD like the other players have. So, the ceilings the other players have, I don't think Murphy Reid's got it, right? But how my power rankings are based on longevity. I feel like Murphy Reid will play 300 games and it'll be at that 6.57 out of 10 level his entire time, right? His entire life. So I think that, for me, is worth its weight in gold. And Fremantle, great club to go to, great midfield. So good luck to him. And you know what, Murph? He became a pet of mine. He did. He's become a love, so I'll look forward to watching his career.
Okay. Good luck to him. Back to the power rankings. All right. Where do we sit? What do we think's going to happen?
Who have we got now? We've got, I'll tell you what, this draft board has changed dramatically to what we expected to go at this situation. And I predicted, which a lot of people disagreed with me, particularly Sydney fans. I said they needed a key position player. I would be blown away if I don't see Harry Arms. Oh, sorry, it's GWS. I would be blown away here if I don't see Harry Armstrong here.
With one of the next two picks?
Yeah, I think GWS here will look and go, you know what we're going to do? We're going to protect Hogan. We've got Hogan to learn off. He's one of the best forwards this game has seen for a long time. We've got Cadman developing. He can still play. Starts shifting to that central position. Let's get a big lad in. Let's get this boy who slid, because he's starting to become a slider now. And it's interesting that Taj Houghton and Jack Whitlock were who GWS were linked to. I wouldn't be surprised to see these two picks be Cooper Hines, who is incredible, and Harry Armstrong. And they'll be like, you know what? This is best case for us. We can't believe how lucky we are.
Okay. So one key forward, and what's Cooper Hines?
Cooper Hines is, if you went to Audi right now and you said, I want Harvey Langford, you'd get his brother in crime, Cooper Hines.
Okay.
And you know what? This was something that I had quite a big argument with people about. I don't see a huge difference in their output if you've got a list. And like Harvey Langford would definitely be that player you desperately need for a bottom 5 team. If I'm a top 5 team where Cooper Hines is, I'm like, I can teach him this stuff, baby. Like, I don't need him to be Langford today. But you watch Langford, he's in that wonderful role where you always see teams who have got a top 5 talent be. He provides, he can play behind the ball, he's a teamwork player, less exciting, but he does it when he needs to. And at times last year, you did see for their junior club, when Langford didn't fire, Hines did. Hines kicked the goals. So he's definitely that type of player I think GWS could get gold out of him.
Who'd they pick? Was it Job Shanahan? No. Oliver Hannaford.
They've gone small. Ollie Hannaford. So you're looking at Lockie Fogarty here. You're looking at Lockie Fogarty 2.0 here. Old Hannaford. And this guy here, quite interesting, because in my mock draft, we talked about Hannaford and Dotoli, very similar players, pick your poison. And this guy made that rare transition from pocket small defender to pocket forward and just couldn't stop scoring. Like, literally, this guy could not stop scoring. An absolute goal machine. And this is fascinating now because GWS are in that wonderful position where really they don't need a lot. Do you know what I mean? They don't need... If you look at their list, I'd say it's probably the closest to complete. And this really says to me we're looking at ready-made talent now because I think that they're banking in their list. And I like that from them. So it's going to be interesting because I agreed with Cal Toomey. I thought they would start picking players that complement what they've already got and looking at the next gen, but they've gone with... They've shocked everyone. I like Hannaford. They're a good selection.
Yeah, there you go. So, okay. Hannaford, I mean, does that mean Armstrong has to be next? Or has GWS shown you that their strategy is going to surprise everyone?
Well, I mean, the problem is, and Michael Rackshaw, good day to you, mate, good friend of the Pommy and Ostiano, he's spot on. GWS literally have this, like, I said it in my mock draft, you can't predict what they get because GWS just know what they want. GWS are just like, I don't care, you have Murphy Reed ranked 6. I'll take whoever the fuck I want. And that's what they do. And that's why GWS are so successful, their conveyor belt of talent. But a pressure forward who can kick goals is rare as rocking horse poo. And I think every club desperately needs them. So Ollie Hannaford suits it. Him and Darcy Jones could be an exciting combination in the years to come that they've got.
Wow. How exciting. How exciting. So they're going to go back to back, the Giants. They're going to take the next pick. We are watching Ollie Hannaford, who was a bit of a surprise. Where'd you have him ranked in yours, Hannaford?
Hannaford, I just deleted him off my rankings. Where did I put him? Hannaford was actually ranked 12 in that ranking, so there's only one person between Matt Whitlock and him.
Okay. Well,
but that's where the smalls are. You've got Dottoli there, who I like Dottoli for his two-way running. Mm-hmm. So this is where you start to see, if you've ever watched, like, I did content with all the mock drafters, you see personality in what you pick. That's where you see my personality in a small. It's the one position where I don't care about defense. I just want glam, glitter, rock star, sex appeal football. I don't care for, you can tackle. Who cares? I've picked everyone else for tackling. So probably a harder teamwork defensive player, but interesting. GWS are annoying, though. GWS are one of them teams that I guarantee are probably one of 2 teams in the AFL that they see a slider, they don't care.
They just do it. They just go for it.
Yeah, like Jagger Smith could have slid to that pick, and I guarantee you they would have gone, nah, we're going small forward, Ollie Hannaford. And they're not the kind of team that gets their eye turned by, ooh, someone slid.
Well, the pick is in for the Giants. Let's have a look and see what they do. We will know momentarily. Andrew Dillon is taking the stage. With pick 19, GWS. Harry Armstrong. I believe that's what
there we are. There he is. Thankfully, they don't make me look stupid. And this is, I think, an absolute great pickup for them because I look at it and this is why I didn't have Armstrong linked to Richmond, just because I think there's too much non-similarities with what they've already got. I feel like Harry Armstrong...
Wait.
Oh, wait, is it Harry Oliver?
Harry Oliver.
Oh, well, they do make me look stupid. So in my mock draft, I had Harry Oliver going to GWS. You're looking at the best goal kicker and the best kick of a football down half-back for a long time. This guy hits target after target. Sandringham Dragons boy, has a bit of run and carry as well. If you cross Nick Newman with Jordan Boyd, added a little bit of pace, you'd get the legend that is Harrison Oliver. I'm a big fan of this guy, and long may it continue. This is a GWS pickup because they love their transition football. They love their ball use. Kingsley is a big demander of good skills, good basic skills. And Harry Oliver has a degree in that type of football for him. So this is going to be a great pickup for them, and I'm really excited about how this looks for them moving forward. It should be a great future for him. He's going to be a very good footballer.
Yeah. Sorry, guys, it's my bad. I don't have the sound on from the draft, so I was lip reading Andrew Dillon, and I saw him say Harry. Okay. Harry Armstrong. Great.
Yeah, well, that leads us to new on our power rankings. The legend that is Tom Gross joins the party as the 10th ranked. But you know what? GWS, just talk about them briefly. Super impressive that they have, again, what we said, they've ignored the sliders and they've picked what they want. And you know what? You got Ollie Hull at Hannaford, who's got a peg on him, and then you've got Harrison Oliver, who just hits targets all day long. Like he's like a Finnish sniper. So that's a fantastic pickup. Murphy Reed at 17. Fremantle will be crying with laughter. Bo Allen at 16. Dream Scenario. Joe Berry at Port. It's not often the last 5 is win-wins. So big results all round.
Yeah. Oliver Hannaford, Harrison Oliver. Is that not a little bit symbiotic? Is that the word I'm looking for? Like it's very, there's a bit of a link between the two of them. Oliver Hannaford, Harrison Oliver.
Maybe that's how they do their list management.
Well, isn't there a rule that you give us? You can't trust anyone with 2 first names.
You can't. I mean, I suppose Harrison. I mean, you know, as a POM, I would class Harrison as a surname, not as a.
Okay.
But so I don't know if I have a caveat if your surname's your first name, but I mean, you can't trust Harrison by POM's rule. If it was Harrison Oliver's, he'd be all right. But yeah, 2 first names. Murphy Reed as well. Technically, Reed's a first name.
Well, Bo and Alan.
Yeah, mate. So this is the don't trust anyone in this 5 category. Good spot, Taz.
So do we have 5 picks left? Are we going to pick?
Yeah. So we've got doggies. So doggies right now. I'm going to lock this in. Cooper Hines. They will be like laughing because they don't have no need for keys. They have no need for keys. They've got a wonderful key contingent. Luke Traynor is an interesting one, though. Might be someone they look at, in my opinion. Right? Might look at it. Do I think they'll put? I don't think they'll put a bid in Sam Marshall. Cooper Hines, for me, is just the perfect complement for what the Bulldogs want. So this could be a fascinating one because suddenly they took Jonty Fall, Richmond. They'll be going, we wanted 2 key forwards. Jesus, the 2 best key forwards by rankings are here. So Richmond could be having a laugh, but let's see what Dogs do.
All right. So the pick is in.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
I was going to say, I swear, I saw Nat Edwards' lips do the O shape. So I was like, she's definitely said Cooper. Cooper Hines. So, like we said, if you went to Audi after trying to buy a Harvey Langford, you get Cooper Hines. That's no knock on him. This guy works incredibly hard for his team. Very bullish, very strong. Kicks goals, can work behind the ball as well, which I think is an incredible gift as well to be able to be 2 ways. And had a really good year as well for Dandenong. He's been really strong, real good showings. And this is a perfect pickup for him. It makes it interesting for Luke Beveridge because Luke Beveridge now has that wonderful option of he loves playing players out of position. He's now got an option with this guy. You can play him just about anywhere. But great pickup for them. And Cooper Hines, well, he's a real good player. I'm a big fan of him. And I'm going to watch Harvey in his career with real great interest. It's always interesting when you get 2 boys, same football club, lived in the shadow. I always feel there's that little bit of animosity to try and be better than him. So he's at a great football club. So Footscray will look after him pretty well, I think.
Can I just say, I think one of the best nicknames / bits of banter that I've seen is the name Dish Licker.
Who's that?
Rocco Morrow has referred to them as the Dish Lickers. Pies Footy, mate, you are late. The audio has had a nightmare tonight, so you're just gonna have to deal with it tonight, mate. But
I get it as well. It took me a while to get it, but because of the Bulldogs lick their plates. Yeah, well done. Good work. Good work.
Like good banter. Yeah.
That's elite. That's elite. So, you know what? Really, really good drafting there from the Dogs. And this is going to be fascinating here now. Richmond, if you asked, I'd imagine if you sat the Richmond list management team down and said, dream scenario, what is it? They'd probably look at this and say, you know what? If we could have 2 elite keys, that would be a dream case scenario. That would be the dream case scenario of having all these players. And I think they've got an incredible selection here now. It's going to be interesting what they do. And it's going to be fun. Richmond will be loving this.
Mate, they've had a day out, Richmond.
Yeah, and you know, obviously they lost their list, their big key ingredient, Chris Tosh to their recruiting management to cancer in the late in the year, and Chris, I think, read out their name. So it's great. I'd imagine, you know, as a tribute here, that it would have been a big fuck around when that happened. It would have been a horrible event for them to happen. I think this has probably gone perfectly to plan. This would have been their dream. So it's fitting tribute to him that they get probably a dream draft position. So it's always nice to see them little subplots.
Absolutely. So who's your pick if you're the Tigs here? Just Armstrong?
Well, I think they've got Jonty Fall, so I think he's got them mannerisms of Tom Lynch. I mean, could they? Would I've always had Dodson. I mean, this is their last pick, so they haven't got an option to go late. Yeah, so this is going to be them. I mean, is this Jack Whitlock and Matt Whitlock, which could be crazy if they did it? I know a lot of Richmond fans I know do that. If they were going here, do they go Jesse Datoli, Harry Armstrong, and just wrap it up and go, good day out, boys. Good day out. I could see it being Harry Armstrong and Luke Traynor, though, and if they do that, I might just say well played.
Why?
Because I think that'd just be, you look at what they've brought in. They've brought in what? They brought in Sam Layla. They got Josh Smiley. So they got their midfield sorted. They got another point of difference in the midfield with their last couple of picks. So then suddenly you look at what Richmond have built. They've really ticked everything. So they've got Jonty Fall as one key forward. Harry Armstrong, I think they need 2 keys, in my opinion, 2 forwards to learn off in the forward end of the ground. Is it Luke Traynor then? And they go, right, we've got Bolter. We've got Nathan Broad for a couple more years. Bring in Traynor to learn off him. We can look after him. Be a huge result.
Well, the pick is in. Let's have a look. Andrew Dillon will read it out in a moment. Here he goes.
With pick 21, Richmond select Luke Traynor.
Luke Traynor, indeed.
What a sad time. Luke Traynor, arguably for me, the best key defender in the draft. And I know Tyree gets the love. For me, this guy gives me Jacob Wheater in vibes. Like the way he goes about his work. He's hardworking. He locks down. He likes his good field kick. Yes, he had them couple of concussions the back end of the year. But I do really like the selection. This is a stage now where Richmond are in that fortunate position. You make a mistake, we pounce on it. So although it might not be what every Richmond player fan wanted, I think it makes sense because if they pair this up now with an Alex Dodson and they get a future replacement for Nankervis, or they bring in Harry Armstrong, this could be a really, really exciting draft. It's going to be interesting what they do because the world is now the oyster, as we say.
I was kind of hoping that Trainer would find a way to not be selected and somehow be available down at pick 38. So he slid because he had a few head knocks, right?
That's the rumor. I mean, we'll probably never know fully why it is, but I'd imagine that just put teams off. And obviously, it makes sense. The nature of the beast in this day and age. Do you know what I mean? Like it's hard to ascertain. That's something hard to test, but. That could be the biggest mistake in the draft. I'll go big now. I look at that right now, and I think that that's far too late, and it's mental. He is there. It is mental that he is there. So that's going to be interesting now because Richmond the world is their oyster. It's all opening up.
Incredible.
Because obviously they've got 26 and 27, which will be tomorrow. So they have pretty much locked away all their needs. All positional needs are killed.
Don't they have 23?
Yeah, they have 23, but then they also have 26 and 27.
Oh,
so
I see.
23 will be the last pick. So by the close of business today, they could have filled all emergency positional needs. So this could be fascinating for them tomorrow, that they're in a position where they're like, this is good, isn't it? Life's fun.
Start taking some risks.
Well, I mean, Jonty 4, we've got to say, is a risk, but the fact that Luke Trainor's there, and they're definitely going to be guaranteed a punt at Job Shanahan, Harry Armstrong. I think Jonty 4 was a huge risk, and that's one thing I do question. Would I have taken him above Armstrong and Shanahan? No, I wouldn't. But you only know in 10 years' time if that's right, but they get a chance to cover their arse like Carlton did. Harry Mackay and Charlie Curnow. They took a punt on Charlie when no one wanted him. Could work out that way. They could right now take Harry Armstrong, Job Shanahan, and in 5 years' time, we're handing the baton to them two as the best key forwards in the comp. So it could be exciting.
Wow. How far into this draft do you think we need to go before it becomes a piss take that Harry Armstrong hasn't been drafted?
I'm not 100% shocked, to be honest, because when I did my power rankings, I had Harry Armstrong high up because of his back end, but I said personally if I was picking, because I always say there's 3 versions of the draft ranking. There's your mock draft, your phantom, and then there's your power rankings. And if I was picking, I personally have Shanahan above Armstrong. I prefer that type of player. I would say if we get to pick 25, I'd be surprised. I'd be shocked if Sydney, though, don't call out Harry Armstrong. I think Sydney would be looking at this now and going, you're kidding me.
Yeah.
And that worries me, because if there is ever a club in this draft who could turn a player no one else liked into the what the F moment. If you remember 2 years ago, Terry, we did this very show and we talked about Chad Warner with our second rounder. Everyone ignored him. Sydney took him. Sydney do that.
Swan select Jesse Detoli.
Jesse Detoli! So interesting, when we did our mock draft, we had one small going to them and a key forward. And these are them types of positions that they look at. It's one of the areas that if you looked and you were critical of them, they haven't really got mass amounts of depth in that position. And Detoli, I think, has been a slider here. Averaged over 2 goals a game at his junior level. This guy is a goal kicker, suits their philosophy as well, in the terms of he ain't shy of their defence as well. And it's a very rich, very Sydney pick. And Sydney now, it's going to be interesting what they do with their next pick when it comes on the board. But good little selection for Sydney. No real surprises there, I don't think.
Yeah. Played in the carnival for Vic Metro. Is that right?
Yeah, he's a Metro boy. He's a Metro boy, Knights boy as well, which is great to see.
Good Northern boy.
Yeah, we don't get a lot of Knights love anymore.
No,
we do love a Knighter.
Why is that? What's wrong with the Northern Knights? What happened?
Well, it is quite funny speaking to like people up at Tassie and stuff who, because everyone knows I've got a Tassie obsession. It's just probably one of them areas that's probably untapped potential. It's quite funny because I always say that if I was a list manager, I'd be looking at these like unloved areas a little bit, and that would be one. But I just think you look at where all the stars are. Sydney, Sandringham, they have thousands. They have thousands of great players and stuff. So I just think it's players that slip through the cracks. They do have some good players, though, who have come through the academy, but we just don't see a lot of big Knights players regularly. Sad. Fair. But you look at him as well. You can see him being that Sydney player that pinch hits through the midfield if you watch Jesse's highlights, because he's got that pace too. He's got pace to burn.
Mate, I saw the blonde hair. I thought, okay, perfect. Yeah, look at him go here, mate. Little ball.
Well, I mean, it's interesting now because when you look at the power rankings, you are in what I like to call the corridor of uncertainty. So Carlton are almost now one of these players potentially will be there at Carlton's pick. Carlton are 18 picks away. So when we get to Richmond's final pick of the evening, we could be in a situation tomorrow where one of these players on that board will be there. So it's quite exciting now because there's some very good names there.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're currently at pick 23 for Richmond. So from what you've seen tonight, does that change? Would you add any other names to who Carlton could still get with pick 38? Or
no,
do you see anyone that you would want to trade up for?
If it the problem is with Carlton is it's so hard for us to trade up with the future rules. I mean, if Trainer had got to outside of 27, I would have been in Nick Austin's DMs demanding it. I'd be like, do whatever you've got to do, promise the earth. But I think Carlton will be quite happy, and Richmond are definitely going to be happy. They've had a superb draft, haven't they, so far? So it's going to be fascinating what Richmond look at doing here. Do they stick to the plan? I think Dodson will be one of these picks, 26, 27. I think he'll get past GWS. They've got a few NGAs. They've got Logan Smith, people forget about, who could potentially be, in my opinion, the best ruckman in this draft class. So they won't look at him. Sydney, I don't think Sydney will look at a ruckman either. So Dodson, they can probably guarantee will be 27. He was one of the selections. Be interesting if they look at Tom Gross, Jasper Olga. Right. But I would expect Harry Armstrong or Job Shanahan here if I was betting.
There it is. Your boy gets drafted to Richmond in the end. Harry Armstrong.
You know what? If you asked for dream scenario, Harry Armstrong being available at this selection, I'm pretty sure would be so high up there. And suddenly that Jonty Fall doesn't look like a risk because you've actually taken Jonty Fall where everyone expected this guy to go. And you've got this guy where we'd probably be talking about Jonty Fall. So what a huge result there. And how weird the AFL draft works sometimes. Sometimes it's symmetry, isn't it, of how it works.
So is it fair to say that they are a bit shocked that Armstrong was available with this pick?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I'm shocked. I'm sure they are. I mean, they might argue we had this plan all along, but they probably were thinking, I think they've probably thought other sides were looking at Jonty Fall, and it's interesting no one's gone key tall here. No one's gone key tall apart from them in a forward line. So probably a huge result for them, and is a definite shock to me. I thought latter season form would come into it for him, but great pickup, and Richmond have absolutely. I'm giving them an A star already.
They've done extremely well.
Honestly, A star. I don't think you could have planned a better draft for them. So, hats off to the team. Hats off to the team, and mate, it's going to be interesting now.
How many years do you think it'll take for them to rise back up into contention?
I genuinely think the way that they're rebuilding is going to be a Hawthorn. I don't think it'll be very long.
Yeah, well,
2026, I reckon they'll be top 12.
Jeez. Fair.
So this year, next year, sorry, 2027, 2 seasons. So 2025, 2027, they'll rise.
Okay. So back to our power rankings. You've got Christian Moraes.
Yeah, the wingman. So he is definitely a player that we earmarked for the Dogs. And the way that this draft has gone so far, where it's just not materialised that way. And we don't end till the Richmond pick 26. So this is going to be a fascinating of who these next 4 players are.
We have 4 more picks left tonight. Is that what you're saying?
I believe 26 is the end of the first round. Oh, wait, Sydney. Yeah, it was. So Sydney was the last pick, wasn't it? And then Richmond traded. So 26 will be the last pick.
26 will be the last pick. Okay, so 3 more.
We've only just begun. So this is going to be interesting. See, GWS, obviously, they have done that. They got Harry Oliver. They went with the small forward Hannaford. So this is really interesting what they do. So GWS, you could make arguments for so many players here as well for them of what they might look at. I can't shake that suspicion that I do think that they would like a tall in there. So Whitlock stands out. Shanahan, they probably didn't expect to be there. So it's going to be fascinating to see what they do here.
Absolutely. What do you think they need more than anything right now?
Well, I mean, I think their backline's chock-a-block. Like, you look at Lee Kalia, he can't regularly get a game. So I think their backline is fairly strong. The small positions they've covered today. I look at their midfield. Tom Gross looks a nice selection as well. I could see that, but I like, if I was them, I just think getting in a key forward now. Get him in now. Bit of protection for Jesse Hogan. It's going to be really interesting.
Yeah. They do take quite some time as well to get through. I mean, Cadman, I think Cadman's ready to go up a level.
Yeah, I do. And I think that it gives them the luxury. I think what they've done with Cadman is great. They've played him as that third. They've really looked after him. So, then they've been kissed on the proverbial, because you look at the other areas, they've got Logan Smith, who's a great ruckman. So probably the best ruckman in this draft class, really, if we're honest. So they've got that covered anyway. So why not just punt on a forward now and look after themselves and feed him in? And Job Shanahan, tell you what, if you ever wanted to build a foil for Cadman, it would be a great foil, I think. I think them two, I could see them working together beautifully.
Well, time's run out. The pick should be in by the Giants. There's no penalty. Is there a penalty for not having your pick registered?
I believe the penalty for not having your pick done, it's just an instant pass. It's like it is in other drafts. But I mean, this is the AFL. Can you imagine they'd create some excuse? You'd have Laura Kane or Dylan on the front now going, yep, there was electrical fault, and they did actually put the bid in. And they'd brush it over. There's no way they'd let it happen.
All right. Well, the pick is in. Let's have a look.
To head back to the GWS Giants as they continue to build their list and try and take another step towards first premiership head coach there on.
Here he comes.
So this, is it Hamish Davis?
24, GWS select Cody Ango from Claremont.
Cody Ango.
What if ever you wanted, go mental and go left field. Cody Angrove, Claremont is a big one. And this is an interesting one because this was a player that they put a lot of time into. Fremantle did. So this is a real interesting one. Fremantle were heavily linked with him. They really liked him. 2 years down at Claremont, back-to-back premiership. So this guy has been a key part of that. One of what is rare for a guy 182 who plays in the forward line. his ability to use the ball is absolutely insane. Like he's a pinpoint type player, massive aerobic capacity, runs both ways. And these are the types of players that you do look at when you think, again, we talk about skill-based players that GWS focus their drafting on. And again, this is that type of skill-based player. It's very GWS-y. And we said that they don't really have needs for these picks. They can just do whatever they want to. And this is why they can take these little punts. And probably 9 picks too early. He was 14th on our system here. But who cares?
They've gone for it. Fair enough. He's very mobile. He's very mobile for his position.
Yeah, and he's one of them players as well that you can just say this is the type of GWS selection. Like he'll be one of them players that we talk about and go, few players had picks around here. None of you picked him up. Why not? So truly, truly fascinated. So going to be interesting. And Eagles will be looking at this now and they'll start to get, a little bit itchy feet. Few players starting to slide. They got lucky with Bo. Is this Hamish Davis? We know he's been in the radar, but what else could slide to them? They'll be thinking. So real fascinating draft so far.
Absolutely. Well, there's 2 more picks to come this evening. Pick 24 has just happened. We've got pick 25 in 2.5 minutes to the Swans, followed by another Richmond selection. So just stand by. We will be done, I would say, in about 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah, it flies by. It doesn't feel like that, does it? It doesn't feel like it's been that long, which it's always nice when you stay with friends, isn't it, as they say?
Absolutely. So, yeah, again, if you are tuning in, if you've tuned in halfway through the show, please be sure to like and subscribe. Like the stream, subscribe to the channels, and yeah, hope you're enjoying it. And again, apologies for the audio. We'll get that sorted out tomorrow night.
Hey, look, Terry can still come through. He still looks the part, which is the main thing.
All right, the pick is in. They didn't fluff around. They just got it done.
To be fair, Sydney are pretty good at this. They don't, piss about.
The Marshall bid is in. Sam Marshall. What do we need to know?
Well, Sam E. Marshall. What? You know what? It's about where we expected it. Sydney do love a bid and an elite runner. Incredibly good with the ball. Works front and back really hard. A degree in footyology. Very similar to Murphy Reid. Murphy Reid's midfield companion too. And he's been brilliant this year, let's be honest. 8 games, 3 touches, 6 marks, 3 clearances, 7 score involvements. Played 2 VFL games as well for the VFL at Brisbane. And sure he could do it there. And he played a halfback in that one, 16 touches, 3 score involvements, and the 2 clearances. So ready-made footballer. And this, when you're only paying, 43 and 44 for a player who is in a free draft would be a top 22, would be a top 20 at worst player. I would say in an open market, this guy is the 15th best player, and that's where we had him. Great selection for them. And just the rich get richer, don't they? We keep saying it, but unfortunately, that's the nature of our great game.
So Levi Ashcroft and Sam Marshall to the Lions.
Yeah, for 5 picks in the 50s. I mean, 5 picks in the 30s. Not bad, is it? Hey, it's not bad when you've got a good academy.
No, it's not. So this is a classic example of why the academies were brought in, I suppose, and you got to get it right.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's not game. It's not great, is it? But I mean, you can see why people get upset by it. I do, but also that being said, all the clubs here know that they can't have him. So do you know what I mean? There's no one entering this draft at the moment going, I wanted him. I wanted him. Do you know what I mean? They all knew it was going to happen. So it's interesting, though, that genuinely speaking, in the AFL, when a bid is made, a similar type of player is called out, right?
Right.
That makes it interesting because if they bid Job Shanahan now, fair play, you've taken the piss, Sydney, which you often do. Sydney do often take the piss. You could make an argument here that it could be Tom Gross, though. But Job Shanahan, I do expect to be called out after this bid is matched.
Okay. Job Shanahan.
The main man, mate.
Let's go back to your rankings, mate.
Well, you're about to see
Who flies
a
up?
name. You're about to see a name that we are a first Pommy point of interest.
Pommy point of interest. Ah, yeah.
I mean, I've got to say, people, you know when people were getting angry at me because I said Sauce won't bid on thing, no one's talked about St Kilda have traded that pick. That's just before us.
Okay.
So it looks like you ain't going to see it. So I actually think you're actually seeing, as I predicted in that video when you asked me, I said that I thought all the bids were going to be late than planned. At the moment, we're probably about 4 behind where we expected. So Carlton, Adrian Cole, Logan Smith, we all may get lucky.
Is Barrett a chance to be a bolter?
Well, tolls are getting 0 love unless you're Johnny Fall at the minute. So Carlton might have every toll that was ranked at their disposal based on what we've seen so far, as aside from Trainer and Fall. So this could be amazing. Like, I mean, Carlton, Nick Austin right now will be watching this with intrigue.
Yeah. Why hasn't it been made official yet?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because they did do the match. They did do the match almost straight away. Well, they said how it is, but it's weird. It is weird that it hasn't been done. They only get 5 minutes. I mean, it could be also that what they don't know is Sydney are trying to trade it out, but it's fascinating. But Michael asks about them picks in the 30s. I reckon, I'm going to go bold. I reckon when Carlton pick 2 of them names, at least 3 of them names will be on the board.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go bold. Just based on how it's been done, I reckon 3 of them names we see on the power rankings will be there when Carlton select next.
And there is an assumption that we're going to be selecting a defender with our next pick.
Yeah, there is a massive assumption, which will be interesting. Like moving forward, like what they, if that's the case, Nick Austin's thrown the curveball with me because I ruled Jagger Smith out. So full caveat. I dogged Jagger Smith. I had him as my best draft talent all year and dogged him at Carlton. So he may just go small forward, mate. Maybe Jasper Olga.
Welcome to Carlton, mate.
I think so. But no, fascinating. And Sam Marshall officially now a player at Brisbane. So Sydney now get 5 minutes plus the 8 minutes Brisbane had to match that bid that they said.
Yeah, there was a bit of something going on there. They got given quite a bit of time, plus this 5 minute period as well. So,
well, I mean, it's fascinating, and like this is an interesting one. So with their first pick, they went small, so they got that small type player in Detoli. So they've got the small forward. Here, I really expect them to go tall, though. Job Shanahan screams. Jack Whitlock, I find an interesting proposition. Do they split the Whitlocks up? It looks like the Whitlocks are going to be split, though, based on how that draft ranking's going, unless Richmond do it. So this will be really, really intriguing because Job Shanahan at 26 has to be said a bargain. I really do rate him.
Yeah. Okay, well, so does that mean now we're going to 27?
No, 26. It was 25. I updated it.
Oh, okay.
Hey, so far I'm good at this.
So this is the next pick.
Yeah, so
Sorry,
I've got 2 minutes. No, 27 is the last pick. So every bid, that's why it's going on. Because when we started this, it was 23 was the last pick. So
Right.
3 bid matches, 26.
That's a bit of a piss take for a first round. 27 picks, is it not?
Mate, one day, you and me will do day 1 for 4 hours. Coming soon. Telling you. You know what's interesting as well? A little common pond fact that the first round, roughly give or take on average over the last 10 years, on average is about within 3 minutes of day 2. So let that sink in. Let that sink in. We're anticipating 70 picks. So we've had we'll have 27 today. That they'll do 40 picks tomorrow at the same time. You watch it tomorrow. When it gets to about pick 40, it's like this. Oh, pick 41 is this team. And they just go straight away. They go, yeah, we'll take this player. And then it's like, oh, no, we want 42 now. It's like literally so quick. It's crazy how the AFL does it.
Wow.
So it's going to be interesting. Glenn Carter, Dodson, can you imagine? You know what? Great shout. You know what, Alex Dodson here, it would be interesting if they go, shall we back up ruck stocks? It is interesting, though. You look through, your academy does produce a boatload of tall players. I don't know what they put in the water in Sydney, but everyone is like 199 and above. There's probably the next Brody Grundy hidden away.
There's something going on here with the Swans. I don't know what it is. There's something happening here.
Well,
hey, Kate. The Canberra Alley Twins will be tomorrow.
Yeah, probably about an hour in.
Mm-hmm.
Exciting times though. We're going to really see. Well, I mean, Sydney here that like they've. I wonder if they're trying to trade it as well. I wouldn't be surprised to see a trade, but. A great board here. If you're Sydney right now, this would be close to perfect scenario.
Okay, the pick is in. This is going to be Alex Dodson, isn't it? All right.
The Sydney Swans have selected
Ned
Bowman, Norwood Football Club forward. So this is a fascinating one. So this guy again has come late and, real interesting type player. Very similar to the profile of Ashton Moore last year, just a little bit smaller. 186 type player, but this guy here loves climbing up the back of players. He's got another under 3 second 20-meter sprint. So, we talked about Jagger, Finn, all having that pace. This guy's got that real big pace. Goal kicking. He's got Mark of the Year written all over him. And, he's learning off a guy I think he's probably the best at what his skill set is. And that is Tom Papley, who is incredible at that ground ball, which is probably his little weakness. But he's got them traits, them athletic traits, the fact that he makes goals out of nothing. This is a real Sydney-type pickup where it is earlier than we thought it would be. But it's going to be one of them ones that is Chad Warner again. We look at it and we go, how did this happen?
I see.
Well, tell you what now, I would be very surprised in the next couple of rounds if we don't see trades.
Future picks?
Yeah, and you know what? The longer Shanahan is on the board, the better it is for us.
Looks like the Tigers are trying to take a phone call here. Is there a potential trade happening?
Well, I mean, it wouldn't like, it wouldn't surprise. Like, it wouldn't surprise. This is definitely, like, honestly, right now, if you want a key forward, if you're like in a Carlton situation where the rumours are you're looking for that type of player, you're looking for a key, particularly a key forward, and maybe you're looking at Gabriel Stumpf, Charlie West, someone like that. Suddenly you might be looking and going, you know what, fuck this. Let's get here now.
Okay.
So this could be a real fascinating one, Terry. Like, if someone does come in ASAP.
I've got a Lek fact here.
Oh, no.
1998 was the last time that the first round of the draft had the same amount of selections as the teams.
Yeah, welcome to the AFL, just giving away picks, like, you know, whenever they want.
In the name of equalisation.
In the name of equalisation. That would be a good song for you two, because he's good at that. So, I mean, this could be a fascinating one. I mean, you know what? Doc Living asking, would Essendon trade in? Glenn talking about Geelong. Did Geelong need a ruckman, though? Because, you know, they've put a lot of time into a couple of their young ruckmen, and he's kind of taken over from Reece Stanley now. But Essendon trading in, can you imagine if Essendon ended up with Job Shanahan here? That would be a dream draft for them.
Yeah. Hey, Andrew McLaughlin. Great commentary, great video clips, and great graphics. Much appreciated from someone overseas that can't watch the draft. Mate, that's why we exist. This is why we are here.
Mate, much love to you. Enjoy it. Where are you overseas? Somewhere nice. You're probably sipping Mai Tais, aren't you? Everyone always DMs me that on Instagram, Pom, watching you from, and they're always somewhere beautiful. I'm like, can't believe you're in a pool drinking a Mai Tai watching me. Like, I would not be watching me.
Hey, Ellie Lipschatz. Hello, mate. He's definitely in an exotic place with some perfect weather. Richmond, mate, I'm telling you, something's happening on the phone in the Richmond room. There's wheeling and dealing going on.
Well, I mean, it'd be interesting what Richmond do, because I mean, there is an argument that there's too many picks. Do you know what I mean? Too many picks in one draft, which is a good, I think, a good analogy. They do have quite a lot of list spots to fill, though. So North really haven't got anything to give back this year. But it would be good diligence. If this is a future second, let's say North are bottom 4, that's going to be what, 22, 23, 24, 25?
Boom.
It's not bad. Has North traded it?
North Melbourne. So, North Melbourne trade out a future first in 2025 for 27 and a second round pick, future second. Yeah. Sorry. North have traded a future first for 27 and a future second. And they're about to take someone.
King Shees in chat as well. If you remember, that was a very similar trade to what I did. I used a future second to get up. So this is fascinating now. North back in the territory. Key defenders galore. I did 2 trades to get North in when we did our live mock draft with the boys. So is this a Whitlock time? Because I tried to get both Whitlocks to him. That was my dream draft for North. Is this time North going big boy ting? I love it. Oof. Go on, North.
Who's it going to be?
I don't think they'd go forward first, but I could see it being Jack Whitlock. But I think Jack Whitlock would be... Job Shanahan, do they need a key forward? I think back would probably be more of a priority. But Job Shanahan swings both ways, goes forward and back. So Job Shanahan would be the dream selection here, and he's probably 10 picks too late, so it would be a net win.
JC is on the shitter watching. Thanks for...
Well, I mean, it's not as good as Switzerland, but I'll take it, mate.
Take it, mate. You can watch us from really anywhere in the world at any point. So
you know what? This is big. King Shees, you're a North Melbourne fan. Who do you want, bro? Would you take Shannon? Can play front and back. Started key defender. Ended up key forward. It would be the dream, innit? Here it is.
Well, the pick has been. They haven't used their full clock. Here we go. Oh, this is big news. It's huge.
select Matt Whitlock.
Matt Whitlock.
Oh, that was the guy I picked in my live draft with him, Matt Whitlock. You know what? Would I be shocked to see North do another trade for pick 31 and get his brother? But they've got Matt Whitlock. It was Matt Whitlock, wasn't it? Yeah. They got the defender version of the Whitlock. Strong, incredibly mobile in the air. Both the Whitlocks are like copy and paste of each other. One plays back, one plays forward ruck. But Matt can also go forward and kick goals. Very, very impressive customer. And this is going to be one to really watch this space on because he can... I wouldn't be surprised to see them go again and come back in as well again. But this is a great result for North Melbourne. And you know what? Finn O'Sullivan and Matt Whitlock, I think he's probably the best they could have hoped for at the start of the calendar.
Wow. There's Andrew Swallow there presenting him with his Guernsey. Good on him, mate. Good on him. Now, do you subscribe to the Twins, the family connection, bringing family members into a club? Or is it just a Carlton thing?
Oh, can't, Terry. No, I'll be totally honest. I don't. I really don't. And maybe I just have a horrific relationship with my brothers. But I don't think I've ever had anyone in my life that I want to work with and live with. Like, I've never met anyone like that. So I just find it a fascinating conundrum. But, I mean, obviously, I can understand it. It's good for marketing. It's good for culture. But you know what? If I reckon the Dogs 31, they've got Richmond's future second. So looking at my draft sheet from memory, they traded their first, didn't they, North?
Mm-hmm.
And they got a second back.
Future second back. They traded their future first, and they got a future second back.
Yeah, so yeah, they're kind of, and they've got their future second, so it allows them another breathing room. It allows them a bit of breathing room that they can use a future second. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them go future second again with maybe a Dogs or someone like that. Maybe double up here because I think there's a great opportunity. Job Shanahan is really fascinating here as a case study here because that was the last pick of the night from memory as well. That was meant to be 26. It's 27. So I find that really fascinating now for tomorrow. It's really tightly poised. Really poised of what we see.
Wow. I like it. So 2 of your picks for Carlton's pick 38 have just entered into the power rankings.
Yeah, just welcome to the club, and you can see now. Look, Carlton, I'm far away. Chat. We are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 picks away. I probably could have done that. Just done 40 minus 27. That would have been easy. So, but we're not far away. We're not far away. So Carlton are definitely going to have some good talent at that position.
No, I'm excited, mate. I like it. Graham, we don't seem too thrilled about Jagger. I don't know what you've been watching, mate. I'm pretty excited about Jagger, personally. Haven't seen him. He hasn't played a game yet, but I'm thrilled.
Yeah, honestly, look, we talked at the top end of the program. If it was Jagger Smith, he was number 2 on the power rankings, only behind Levi Ashcroft. And that's been all year. So that's really consistent to do that. And he's more than an accumulator. It has kind of annoyed me that people are just like pigeonholing him as accumulator. He gets the ball. Oh, that's it. He's pants. Do you know what I mean? Accumulators are in every team. Every flag winning side has an accumulator. And he's got a very similar profile to probably someone like Lockie Neal. Do you know what I mean? That type of player that can just find space when he needs it. One of the knocks is his penetration, but you can teach penetration. Nick Dacos would be a great case study that came to Collingwood, hardly played any midfield time. Started life as a halfback to work on that distribution, which was still a strength, but something that needs to work on. He can do it when he needs to. He's popped up with some important goals for the Chargers. And I think what you're going to see, and we did talk about this, I can't remember which show I was on when the link was made. I actually think you're going to see a return to form for Sam Walsh, because my biggest complaint with Sam Walsh is I don't think he is an out-and-out inside midfielder. And I think that means long-term in the next 2 years, you see Sam Walsh become that exciting midfielder. So definite 350 gamer. So this is going to be an exciting time.
Great.
What did I say his ceiling was? Prime Chris Judd, and his floor was Jack McRae. And you all were put off by Draper when I said floor for him, Dow, ceiling, Prime Mark Murphy. There you are.
Yeah. Well, that has been night one of the 2024 AFL draft. Bro, that was crazy good.
That was so much fun.
Man,
I really enjoyed it. I mean, we've had some shocks, we've had some spills, we've had some thrills. So it's going to be interesting. Lots of talent on the board, lots of picks to come. We're going to win a flag.
Well done. Ladies and gents, that's us for tonight. Thanks for being here. Be sure to tune in tomorrow and bring a friend. They don't necessarily have to be a Carlton fan. We're covering every single pick for every single team. It's going to be very interesting tomorrow because a lot of it's unknown. There was a lot of predictions around the top 5, top 10 tonight. So we got that done. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and hopefully we see you tomorrow night. Otherwise, have a great one and go footy.
Go football. Go football.
Go football.